Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to T3PO Live, where we are live at 5. And thank you so much for everybody joining us from the Mr. H raid right there. I see some people. There's some people that have come on in. Thank you so much. And I gotta thank Culture for that. You know what? Actually, let me go ahead and thank him personally, because guess what? He's decided to go ahead and join us. Culture, thank you so much for joining us and for the redirect. Very much appreciated, sir.
You bet. No, I love it. I'm glad I was able to join today. My headache has subsided for the most part, so being able to be on more shows is something I always love to do. And we have great guests in the background. I cannot wait to see. Kind of wore myself out in the backstage playing the drums for a bit, so I'm a little tired.
I saw that. That was pretty good. I love that. And I love that song right there. Some people like the Cloud 99 reference. That was a funny show this morning on that Park Place.
There was no Cloud 99 here. It's just all upbeat. Let's go.
Absolutely.
Drum kit, man.
Speaking of upbeat, we have Barry Place 28, Erica, American Red, and
hey, how's it going?
Oh, I thought you were someone else. It was Barry.
Eric's like, who's this? Who's this guy over here? I don't know this guy.
Like, nice to meet you.
That's CPO Pritchard of the Disneyland Navy.
There you go.
No.
Well, you got the subs behind you, so.
I do.
Oh, hey, do you have the swimming mermaids? You remember back in Disneyland?
Yes.
Mermaids.
I remember one very well, as you know.
You have told me this story before.
Yes.
This is interesting. No, the mermaids were fantastic. Unfortunately, nothing that magical today on the agenda.
Nothing ever shows up that's good anymore. I mean, it's always like, oh, we're going to put some plastic fish in here now that look like Nemo and Friends. Enjoy. Yes.
Yeah, with some bad predictors to boot right there. But we got all kinds of stuff to talk about. We've got Disneyland Paris debuting this awful ticketing system. We've got Tiana's Disastrous opening at Disneyland. We've got Harry Potter debuting with some photos. Some amazing stuff
I
right
love
there.
Those photos.
Oh, we're gonna get them. And then Comcast, all kinds of stuff, folks. Stay tuned. You will be better for it. But we have to start out actually in Bob's neck of the woods right here. This story coming out of the Los Angeles Times, and Bob, I think you know where I'm going with this. Knott's Berry Farm right here. 2 riders taken to the hospital after dangling for hours on stalled Knott's Berry Farm ride. Yeah, not good right here.
You know what's funny is I started getting phone calls from some of my friends like, why are there like 3 helicopters hanging around our neighborhood? I'm like, I have no idea. I don't know what's going on. Then boom, saw that, and I was like, oh, now here's a bad thing. I don't know if you guys realize this, but exactly where that ride was a previous ride that was 300 feet tall. That was a swinging ride, and it was called Windseeker. And that broke down, and it took them somewhere between like 4.5 to 6 hours to get everyone off that ride, 300 feet up in the air. This was not as high, but you can see from here, everyone's sitting at an angle. I think except for the people who are on the very ends or the side ones, they're sitting comfortably. But those people who are up and down and to the sides, oh my gosh, they are sitting sideways, and that had been uncomfortable. And then, of course, there was a joke between me, my friends, and some of my other streamer friends of, what if you had to go to the bathroom and you didn't go before you went on that ride? You're in trouble.
You hope you're on the upper tier and not the lower tier.
I would just,
I would
just say
point,
raindrops keep falling on my. That's not rain.
That's
at
not
that
rain.
point, all shame's out the window. Sorry.
Well,
that's what happens.
I'm a boy, so I'm making a rainbow.
The bad thing is if you're upside down, you're kind of just doing it to yourself. So thankfully, no one's upside down here. But still, it was a bad situation. It took them just over 2 hours to get everyone to lower the arm so that they could actually get people off. But from what I understood, there was no injuries. They did take a couple people to the hospital, but I understand there were no injuries, so that's good. Major injuries.
Well,
that is very good.
Say, the official park chiropractor had a busy day.
Tough stuff for sure. And also too.
But now, is this basically the same ride as that thing at the Isle of Burke?
No.
Okay,
that's a little bit different.
Okay,
this one actually it picks you up as you see here, and it goes up and down, but then the seats will flip. So depending on where you're at, you could end up flipping once or twice, usually once. and it's a very jarring ride. I love it. My daughter loves it, but yeah, it's not for everyone. Let's put it that way.
And
Yeah,
you can
definitely
catch
not
your
for me.
tan standing in the boysenberry rain. I am the Knott's man.
Certainly not for me. I wouldn't do it. I think from a parks operation standpoint, this has got to be pretty devastating because you got Jaguar right next to it down, right? You've got Silver Bullet right next to it down as well in order to get cherry pickers into this spot right here. So a good portion of the park was down in order to facilitate this evacuation right here. That's got to be most unfortunate for proprietors of Knott's Berry Farm, obviously.
Were
Now,
they able
Six
to get it with
Flags-
their own cherry pickers, or did they have to bring in somebody?
No, the fire department were there, but they actually were told that the Knott's maintenance people were going to take care of it, and they did. They were able to crank the ride down eventually.
Because I've told the story before, but I happened to be in Disneyland when the Sky Ride had to be shut down because of impending hail or something.
Yeah,
and they actually brought an Anaheim hook and ladder truck right there into Tomorrowland Terrace to pick people off the ride one bucket at a time.
Ooh.
And I watched.
That ride's a little bit different. That's a lot higher up.
Yeah, well, sure, but and it's only one bucket at a time. Whereas with this, if you get more or less in the right place, you can at least probably clear an arm. I guess their worries were balance as far as what was left after you start taking 1 or 2 arms worth of people off. So
I love that. One Punch Man Tolkien fan. Not Berry Place Farm. No, it's not Berry Place Farm, but it's definitely Knott's Berry Farm. Actually, it's Knott's Berry Farm starting tomorrow.
Oh yes, Knott's Berry Farm. That is spectacular. Wanna actually go there a couple times on a future trip later this year. So that will be pretty cool to do that. I guess my worry with something like this is definitely operationally. That's not a fun day, obviously, for the riders there. That's most not fun. But also too, just losing all that attraction capacity and so forth. Do we see, Bob, more of these type of attractions going into parks like Six Flags and the Cedar Fair parks?
Yeah, I mean, you do, but you don't see a whole lot of like this one. You see more of like the big arms that swing up and back, like Crazanity, and it spins and things like that. But yeah, you'll see more extreme rides like this at parks like Six Flags. Now, they're part of the same park now, obviously, with Cedar Fair and Six Flags Entertainment, merging together. But yeah, I'm surprised. Now, the funny thing was when Windseeker was here, they actually got rid of that ride. I thought they dismantled it. Apparently, they sold it off. It's now over in Kansas City at Worlds of Fun, and it's being used over there. It's got a new name, of course. But I didn't think that they would keep that. And I was wondering, are they going to do the same thing with this one? Since people got stuck on this for an hour, but I don't know what it is. It's this area in the park, the exact same area where people just tend to get stuck on these rides. I don't know.
Is that where the really, really old, long time ago, because I'm 1,000, where the inverted coaster was?
No.
Okay.
No, that was on the back end.
Okay.
Curseland.
This is towards the front of the park by between Camp Snoopy and Fiesta Village.
Okay.
Yeah, Windseeker
it's right next to
was,
Montezuma's Revenge, which is now going to become Montezuma's Forbidden Fortress, and that opens up later in 2025.
Sweet.
Knott's has had issues with attractions, definitely for sure. Not just Windseeker, but also too like what was that ride? Predated Accelerator. Which one am I thinking of? I think it took over Soapbox Racers. Which one was that? It was by
I know
Togo.
which one you mean. Yeah.
Windjammer?
Windjammer? That was a long time ago. Woo! Windjammer. Oh, yeah, and Jim T put in the chat, that was the burial ground for the old McDonald petting zoo where this ride is located.
Gotcha.
So, there's a lot of old rides. I would love to see a couple of old rides come back yet, but not Windjammer. I don't think I'd want to see that one.
No. For everybody, for as many people as are disappointed with Cedar Fair, for instance, for Top Thrill 2, right? And the whole issue with Zamperla and all that, keeping that ride down. Windjammer was like way worse than that. I mean, that's a coaster that should never been constructed, built by a manufacturer that was just kind of horrendous. At least their quality in the States anyway was.
Yeah.
And Terrible. Not good. Not good.
The old
I'm
original
hoping for some-
corkscrew, which is the very first. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
Oh, please.
I was going to say the old original corkscrew, which is the very first roller coaster I ever rode, was at Knott's Berry Farm, and that was better than Windjammer. Of course, there's a lot of things that are a lot better than Windjammer over the years.
Yeah, absolutely.
I remember when they first started putting, quote unquote, modern theme park rides, coasters into Knott's, feeling like it was somehow a violation of what Knott's was all about. You know what I mean? I mean, I didn't feel that way about the log flume or the mine train or all that, but somehow, I don't know. I thought, hey, don't turn it into just another coaster park.
But, the Knott family, they're the ones that authorized a lot of that stuff, and they.
Oh yeah. Well, they were told that the times had changed, and let's do it. So I just paid for gold and ignored them.
It's crazy because.
Oh, go ahead.
What?
No,
Well,
go
the
ahead.
Knott's family was, they were approached by Disney to sell Knott's Berry Farm to the Disneyland Resort, and it was like, nope, not going to do that. We're going to go to Cedar Fair instead. I always thought that was an interesting choice.
Yeah. So my sentiments are with Jim T, because it says bring back the version of Soapbox Racers. I would love to have Soapbox Racers come back. That was a fun ride.
So good. Unfortunate that had to go away, but that's just how the cookie crumbles sometimes, I suppose. Speaking of cookies crumbling, though, I will say we've got a couple of I guess it's not a great transition. We got a couple of super chats for sure, and those aren't crumbling cookies, but they're cookies in full form. Here we go. Samuel Maine with a $3 super checker. Thank you so much. Every single time, as Pro said, and I think Jonas said as well. Thank you so much for supporting our channels, our network. Very much appreciate it.
As crumbling cookies go, Samuel's a real snickerdoodle. But
I love that. That's great.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
At least he visits our toll house regularly. Let's put it that way. And we're glad you do, Sam.
How do you do this? How do you?
If I knew, it would spoil it.
Yes, I guess so. All right, so we have our next story here. Sorry about this, guys. I have a lot of tabs open, and my organizational structure has been completely upended. I do apologize about the wait. Here we go. This story out of the Disneyland Resort here. Well, it was the opening of Tiana's Bayou Adventure at Disneyland, and it's familiar disaster territory for Disney, as the article mentions right here. This by Marvin Montanaro. Boy, oh boy, was this attraction. Oh man, I mean, I thought I saw it all with Walt Disney World. Walt Disney World's opening was bad enough. Obviously, we had major evacuations and so forth, Code 101s, in-show exits, all of the above. But no, they decided to up the ante with Disneyland's version of this attraction. And man, was it... it was a troubling
When do
day.
we get to the point where opening days that don't open are going to be called not a bug, a feature, because they happen so often?
It's the intention. Tiana's Bayou Adventure had its grand opening at Disneyland yesterday. That's November 15th. And much like its Walt Disney World rollout, the West Coast debut of Splash Mountain's replacement was plagued by endless technical issues that left the attraction down for most of the day. Never mind the fact that this new water-based attraction opened in November on a day that saw temperatures peak at 64 degrees Fahrenheit. Whoopee! Throw me on a water ride. Oh, that sounds like great fun. The biggest issue facing the attraction's West Coast debut was once again extended downtimes that saw the long-awaited log flume down for more than 7 hours on its first day of operation. By the way, I want to go ahead and shout out to Chris CW on Twitter. If I'm not mistaken, that's I always forget that name. And also to AWM Trends on YouTube. They helped us out tremendously putting this article together, so I just want to go ahead and shout them out. I'm going to shout them out again here in the article, but just want to point that out. According to sources in the park, the attraction was down for the first 3.5 hours of the day. Disney then got the new ride working, only to have it break down again for another extended period. Kind of see right here, Laughing Place noting that the filming was taking place and that everything was getting ready for this thing to finally open, but unfortunately it did not open on time. This is eerily similar to Tiana's Bayou Adventure opening in Orlando this summer, where the attraction suffered from massive delays and downtime that often left riders stranded and in need of evacuation. Many had hoped that Disney had learned from its mistakes over the last several months and implemented changes to prevent another Tiana Titanic. But alas, it seems as though history is doomed to repeat itself at the happiest place on Earth. Adding insult to injury was the presence of Trita Carter, the project leader on Tiana's Bayou Adventure. The Imagineer attempted to ride the attraction on its official opening day at Disneyland, and her big project broke down before she even left the station. And there you go. Provided by AWM Trends, YouTube. That's Trita Carter right there, sitting in an attraction that she was the lead on, stuck, this time in the loading zone. They eventually got it running, but soon after they let her log go. They had to evacuate that log as well.
Can I just say, is the ride
Please.
operator there actually rocking a Star Wars?
No, I think that's someone in line.
I think somebody in line.
Okay, we can only hope.
yes. But everybody was.
No. If it was a Disney ride operator, he'd be with an Epic Universe logo.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Please, Bob.
So I wasn't going to say anything, but now that you're throwing it to me. So here's the thing. I was not there for opening day. For most of you that have been following me, you know that I had surgery a couple weeks ago, right before it actually grand opened. So I wasn't able to be there for the grand opening, which is a bummer. I watched a lot of my friends who were streaming. It was sad to see that this ride was down for so many hours, especially on its first day. The funny thing is, you know, my source was telling me all along, this is not ready for the 15th. Don't know why they're doing this. They're going to do it anyhow. And then she's like, I don't think the opening day is going to be that great. I'm like, well, previews weren't too bad. And then boom, first day was horrible. So she was right. The good news is it hasn't been completely horrible since it opened. I mean, that was a disastrous first day for it, obviously. And by the way, it's broken down. Let's see, the first time I went to ride it, it broke down on me. I was able to get on it later. And then Theme Park Casual, who's in the chat. Hey, Theme Park Casual, how are you? He actually got a virtual queue for both of us, and we went to go ride it, and it was broken down when we arrived at the park. But it opened within, I think, about 20, 25 minutes or so, and we were able to get onto the ride. But yeah, it's definitely has had its downtimes. I think the most disappointing thing for me is that there's always been at least one or more animatronic not working. The first time it was Lewis, second time was Mama Odie. And then as I've been watching a lot of my friends who've been streaming while I've been recovering from surgery at home, I've noticed that Mama Odie her mouth is still not moving. Juju never comes up. I've never seen Juju, the snake, come up once, which is really disappointing that they're having these issues. At least the ride's working. I mean, I don't care if animatronic's not working, but if the ride's working, that's good. But yeah, it's really disappointing to see that the same things in Walt Disney World are happening here in Disneyland. However, as you guys probably saw from my D23 interview with one of the Imagineers, I asked them, well, what are you guys doing different from Walt Disney World so that you don't have the same issues there that you don't have the same issues at Disneyland as you did over there? And he just basically said, well, we try to learn from our mistakes.
We rebuilt the way that we distribute power. We rebuilt the way that we distribute water. We changed up the pumps that are in certain areas. And we corrected the timing and sensors. Yeah, there's a whole lot of stuff that they had to do. Yeah, and look, I mean that part of the park notoriously underpowered. There is not a power plant. There is now. There wasn't a power plant over there that was up to snuff, and they were pushing it there always for a long time.
Yeah. And that probably goes into the history of Disneyland, how it kind of grew out to that section of the park. It previously held the Indian Village, and that was about it. Yeah. And then obviously it's built over, with Bear Country, then Critter Country, now Bayou Country, and so forth. So this is a log flume attraction, which log flumes have been around since the 1960s. This specific attraction has been around since the 1980s and was one of the most reliable in the park, from what I understand. I've had some people come to me and say, yeah, I mean, if you look at the uptimes for all the attractions, Splash Mountain was, usually up a pretty good length of time in comparison to maybe something like Indiana Jones Adventure, for example. And now it's followed Walt Disney World as being one of the most unreliable attractions, and it's super unfortunate. And everybody was in attendance to see it. Anybody remember this video with going over the critters and going over their designs and so forth? Well, she was there, so there you go. That's something. And also too, Trita Carter stuck in her own attraction and was evac'd from it. Also too, Erica, if you're interested in some Tiana's Bayou Adventure merch, well, don't worry, because we have the merchandise lines for you. This is Chris W. here, as mentioned before. There's no word on whether Carter attempted to get others to join her in a song during the extended downtime, like the voice for Mama Odie did back in Walt Disney World. Another embarrassing moment for the House of Mouse. It seems as though Disney grossly overestimated the demand for Tiana's Bayou Adventure merchandise. The company set up massive queue area for the debut merch with 10 registers and 18 switchbacks. This being in the old Starcade there. However, this was the crowd at 4 p.m. on opening day. You can see these images right there. Not a lot of demand, I would say, for Tiana's Bayou Adventure merch, at least in Tomorrowland.
This looks like the third day at a D23 event where all the merch has been picked over and nobody really is shopping it anymore. This being opening day, this would be rather embarrassing, to be fair. So yeah, and what a waste of space in the Starcade. Where are all my favorite video games at? Really upset.
I know, right? I mean, what is going on there? The Starcade was always it was like an institution. You remember the culture, the big X-Wing? They used to be over the escalators there.
I hated it.
Why?
I hated everything about Starcade because it's Disneyland. Why should I go there to play things that are at every mall in town?
I don't know. They got
the idea that you pay an admission ticket and you're going to go see all this amazing stuff and entertainment. I mean, talking when there was. And then instead, people are in there playing Galaga and it seemed to me to be Disney denying their elevation. I hated everybody.
What would you rather have in there? 2 more bays for Star Tours? Come on.
Well, that's not my point. My point is that the idea of a video arcade, and especially that was in the area that was the future.
I think at the time, look, arcades were big in the 80s, right?
They really were, yes. And every mall and every hotel had a,
I know,
anyway.
But it was Disneyland with arcade, man. And I know we're not from the same generation, but
I'm just saying 90% of the rides were the same as you found outside. And the others were very lightly reskinned. So
this is an interesting, fascinating conversation. I didn't know it was going to go this way. Lou, not a fan of the arcade. Yeah. By the way, didn't they have 2 arcades too? They had this one and the one in Bear Country, right?
Oh, they did. Yeah, but that was later.
Two-story.
That was in the next to that mile-long bar thing. Yeah,
the mile-long bar.
And those at least had the penny-making machines that were germane to the area. Yeah.
But finally put the X-wing fighter over into the store though. Instead of leaving it where the old Starcade was, where it was being unused. So,
yeah, I suppose. But golly, and put in a merch store if you have to. But
here, Lou, look at this sign. Make you happy. I change it since we're talking about Tiana.
Oh, whatever. I just never got. By the way, the first log flume ever was a thing called El Aserradero at Six Flags over Texas. And I have a photograph from Knott's Berry Farm of the very first riders of the log flume at Knott's Berry Farm.
Ooh.
Guess who? John Wayne and his son.
Oh, that's cool.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes,
That's
I remember.
We're going to go on this log, whether you like it or not, partner.
They were the first ones. It's such a cool story. Super cool. The Knott's Berry Farm log flume, by the way, inspiration for Splash Mountain for sure. Tony Baxter was there opening day examining that log flume as a kid, and then later designing his own log flume in the form of Splash Mountain.
There's the link to the picture of John and his son. So
absolutely, it's super cool history. And by the way, now the best log flume in all Southern California. So there you go. That's look at that. Look at that. Cool. Isn't that great? Fantastic. The history of these parks is the coolest thing here for sure. But yeah, not so good. Also, too, one more thing about the story that went a little bit underreported, but I got to include it here for you guys. They provide some guide maps for everybody so that they could have, this momentous occasion be honored with these paper guide maps that they usually do with attraction openings. And, they did one for Tiana's Bay Adventure. However, I'm not sure who that is right there.
Yeah, I have all sorts of issues with this map. I mean, it's not just her. It doesn't look like Tiana here, right? Her hand's cut off. What's with her hand cut off right there?
Yeah, it looks like Long John Silver got involved in this thing. Captain
I
Hook.
understand it's in the log, but it just looks stupid. And then
It's her identical twin, Stumpy.
Okay. What's up with the mountain? The mountain doesn't even look great. I don't know. Or
That is
sorry,
AI generated art.
I was just gonna say it looks AI.
It is very
Tiana's
it's gotta be
flapper extravaganza. I don't know.
Yeah, and I don't think I would get in that sinking log. I mean, that we know that they've had issues before, and that log is definitely submerged. Look, Don Ducky Williams isn't doing the throwaway art anymore, so you can't rely on good stuff like that. You get this instead.
I know some artists, local artists, who have actually done work for Disneyland Resort, designing basically the disposables, so like paper cups, paper plates, and so forth, napkin art, this kind of stuff, and they're very, very talented. And now Disney going cheap with that as well, it would appear. So you can see the results there. You can see her
body is
design.
out of scale, and
Yes.
Well, it is. Go back to the map. Did you see how she's holding the lantern, by the way?
Let me see here. Oh yeah, she's holding it like that.
Like this. It's like, okay, I don't know anyone that holds a lantern like that, but okay, fine. Hey, hang 10.
Yeah, I guess so. You're gonna be impacted by a wave of water because people are still getting soaked on this attraction right now.
I don't know.
And again, what is that? What's the high over there, Bob?
Oh, it's been in the 60s during the day, so 64 to 66. Sometimes
Sounds
a little higher.
wonderful.
we got down to 34 here last night, and it's going to be that way the next 4 or 5 days, and that's cold.
The high was 34 for us today.
Oh well, see, that's why I don't live in Germany.
Okay,
But,
Erica, you want to get soaked here on Tiana's Bay Adventure in the winter?
Nope.
Yeah, here's the funny thing. Since we're talking about this, you see all these people putting ponchos on. They're not even working. I don't even know why people are putting ponchos on, because seriously, people are getting really soaked, especially people sitting in the first, few rows of this ride.
Yeah.
Thankfully, both times I didn't get too wet. I think I got really wet just because there was a lot of water on the seat. But other than that, I didn't get soaked or anything like that. But I have not been sitting in the front because I've got my gimbal in the back and I don't want anything to happen to it. So
Yeah, well,
This is just.
I think I've told the story, but if I haven't, I will again. Of being
Please.
on this pseudo Pirates of the Caribbean flume thing at Six Flags in Norfolk, Virginia, Williamsburg, whatever. And it was literally, you could buy them at the local Walmart, aluminum dinghies. And it was going down the flume thing and up the hill. And inside were like bad department store mannequins in bad pirate suits going, yo, 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 yo. And then we get ready to come out the door to the one big drop. And I'm in the front row and there's a guy behind me. And I realize there's nothing going to keep all that water out of this boat. So I happen to have my little fold-up umbrella. So I opened it and hunkered down beneath it. And the water went right over me and my umbrella and just flooded this guy sitting in the back seat. I was not popular, but I was dry. I mean, oh, God.
Oh
If
man.
you can't do it right, don't do it. That's my theory, but what do I know?
Well, I think that's accurate. I think this whole Tiana thing has been a debacle from stem to stern. It was conducted under a bad reasoning, let's say, and it didn't get the funding that it probably deserved, and definitely Tiana deserved, and certainly the guests deserved. And now we're stuck with this attraction that is not even good in terms of its quality.
Their heads were into the virtue of what they thought they were doing.
Correct.
But their budget and effort was virtue signaling.
Oh,
Kind of
And that's the difference
surprised.
between waving a flag and launching a battleship, so.
I am a little surprised that it's such a disaster, because I kind of was hoping that they would have learned from Disney World, and I kind
were
of had more
hoping for the
hope for
same thing.
Disneyland, and to hear that it's just the opening.
Well, and
day to hear how that-
at Disneyland, they did not have the handicap that they had in Florida of the moldy, humid, destroyed
that's what
building.
I kind of
We
expected
have dry heat in
better.
Southern California, so until we send people down waterfalls. So then it becomes not so dry a heat. I think, guys, seriously, for whatever our Christmas show is, we need to create some carols. And I'm thinking one of them is like, on the first day of Tiana's, Disney gave to me animatronics not working, and I don't know, a splash, and build it all up to the big.
Build it all up.
Yeah.
I'm
That would
horrible
be
here.
that'd be pretty funny. Perhaps we could do something like that. Speaking of weather, though, very interesting weather coming out of Disneyland Paris. The setting for our next story right here. Look at this.
Oh boy.
No, thank you.
Beautiful.
Nope. Mm-mm.
What do you know, Erica? Come on.
I
The one
hate
out-
the snow, and I mean hate it.
Walking in a
There's
winter
snow there?
wonderland.
I was going to say mad props to France for figuring out the snow machines for a change.
No,
They just borrowed them.
Really
they borrowed them
convincing.
from all the McDonald's in the USA. And
No bubbles for you guys. No glycerin drops on your head. No, you get real snow there, baby. Yeah.
Was this
Real
last
snow
night by
right there.
chance? Yesterday? Because we did get a little bit of snow here in Germany. So I don't know if this was this week.
Wow, this was today.
What's
This is
interesting?
Today?
what-
Oh,
what's
we are
interesting-
in for it.
well,
Ugh.
Erica, you
That's
do
coming
know
our
why
way.
there are all those trees on the Champs Elysees leading up to the Arch of
What's-
Triumph. The reason is because Germans hate marching in the snow. So
You make you make fun of that, Lou, but that's the kind of the joke around town was that they told Disneyland Paris that land specifically was to prevent the Germans from invading France again.
I can't psychologically, because I know I was raised in Florida. So, and being a Disney family privilege, I guess you could say. And I cannot go to any theme park when it's cold. It's like a mental thing. Theme
Well-
parking in cold weather to me just doesn't make.
Well, when I was a kid, we called it a cabin. It was a house up at Running Springs, which is right near Santa's Village, which was this
Oh, I love that place.
wonderful place. And they had the best hot chocolate and hot gingerbread with whipped cream. And that made the snow worth it.
It's because they sell the
I guess.
same
I-
Nestle
I-
hot chocolate that Disneyland does. That's why.
I need to give everybody a warning in California right now, and Oregon and Washington. You're about to get smashed by something called a bomb cyclone.
Yes.
Which means you will have hurricane force winds and quite a bit of gale down there in Southern California. So just be aware if you're on the coast or near a coastal city, all the way down to most of Northern California. But it's quite possible it could sneak its way down based on the weather pattern. So just be aware you're going to get water.
Yeah, I have
Okay.
friends in British Columbia hunkering down for it right now.
I thought that was just Northern California, not Southern California.
It could make its way down there. There's something called a atmospheric river that could bring you a lot of wetness.
The first time I went to Super Nintendo World at Universal Studios Hollywood was in an atmospheric river. Hey, great for the crowds, but man, that was a tough day to get through. I got to be honest with you, I was
It's a
soaked.
deluge.
Oh,
It's a
my
deluge.
goodness gracious. But speaking of being soaked this way, guests are getting hosed. I don't know if that works right there, but hey, look at this. Disneyland Paris introduced this new ticket system with ever-changing prices by Shannon Ace, November 19, 2024 on Walt Disney World News Today. This is a big story, folks, right here, because this will change the way you visit Disney theme parks or theme parks in general, because usually Disney starts something off and then others pick it up forever. Disneyland Paris has introduced a new flexible adaptive pricing system for dated tickets, meaning prices may now change for the same day over time. So for right now, we have variable pricing, right? Where you have certain days of the week that are more expensive than others. But what if, depending on when you actually look at those prices, those fluctuated, kind of like the airlines do? So depending on when you actually get those airline tickets, your seat, obviously, it adjusts in price based on a whole host of factors, right? And depending on when you actually buy them. Imagine applying that flexible system to Disney theme parks. Well, Paris has done just that. Data tickets already vary depending on the date and demand. For example, Christmas Day and New Year's Eve are two of the most expensive days of the year because of the popularity. With this new system, pricing for a single day may vary within a fixed range, adapting to demand and seasonality. One day, one park tickets start at €51, while one day, two park tickets start at €76. A 1 day, 2 day park ticket can be up to €175, as seen for New Year's Eve in Disneyland Paris's report screenshot below. We can go ahead and close that in right there. You can see the variance in those purple days from €119 to €175. This is some tough stuff. So depending on, when you actually want to go to places like Disneyland Paris, or perhaps your domestic theme parks are next, this is usually where Disney likes to trial balloon things. We saw Lightning Lane, and those skip the line features make their way in Paris first before being debuted in the States later. This might be coming to a theme park near you. So what do we have? Paid shows in Tokyo, variable pricing to the nth degree in Paris. Man, it's just getting more and more expensive to visit these favorite theme park destinations.
And we should note that one reason why so many people have decided their money and time are better spent on a cruise is because you pay one price and you know what it's going to cost. Everything's included. So if you can't even guarantee the price of going into the park, which is the reason why you're buying the hotel room and the all the other goodies, where are you? You're totally surprised.
Oh.
Mickey's Magical Surprise. It'll be $20 more.
And on a cruise, everything that entertains you is functioning and working.
Well, there is that. Let's face it. If a cruise, if a log flume ride gets stuck, well, they'll get you off. If the cruise ship gets stuck, might be a long wait. Have a magical adventure.
Very thought.
Yeah.
That makes me not want to go on a cruise. That doesn't help.
Well, but the good news is that cruise ships are pretty tightly regulated by the various authorities, and so
I've never been on one.
Oh, well, they're not going to lose you. They're going to know where you are and what the situation is. But
Disney cruises are actually pretty good. That's like the one last vestige of Disney that's pretty solid. Even though,
but again, it's one price for the food, for the shows, for the trip.
Yeah,
all inclusive. And speaking to that point, Lou, Sean Ranks the Mouse, who was a friend of mine, is actually a travel agent. He put this tweet out, and I think this really encompasses the Disney experience of today. Explained to one of my clients who was taking his family to Disneyland next week for the very first time in 6 years how the virtual queue system works on top of Lightning Lane multi-pass and individual passes and park reservations. And this just ain't at Disney. Nearly impossible to simplify / dumb down a Disneyland vacation right now. He continues, I didn't even realize how truly confusing it all is until I had to spell it all out to a client who had no idea about any of it. Hopping restrictions, park reservations, app reliance systems, 3 different Lightning Lane passes, confusing and restrictive virtual queue systems. This isn't a positive guest experience, Disney. Well, there you go. I mean, that really does quite sum it up, and it's only getting more complicated as this story actually points out.
And it's worse at Disneyland because of the repeat business factor, of the locals factor, where people feel like, well, I don't know, Disney World I don't know much about, but I'm comfortable with going to Disneyland. You drive down the freeway, you get off, you pay for the parking, you buy a ticket, you go in, what's the big deal? Not so fast. We have lots of deals. How many hundred would you like to read about on your phone while you're standing there in line?
Oh, man, this is just
it's almost as if somebody said, you're paying a lot of money and you're having too much fun. We're going to make it worse.
Yes.
And charge more.
It does absolutely feel like that. Bob, I know we just had this conversation the last time you were on the show. You were talking about how You weren't necessarily buying an annual pass for your daughter, and how that's
Yeah.
you've changed your visitation patterns when it comes to Disneyland, your home park. How do you feel about all this?
Oh, this is not good at all. In fact, so the funny thing was, I was at Disneyland Paris last year, and I got to experience the whole Premier Pass because I did get it and I got to see what it was like. I was not. I mean, I like the fact that you didn't have to make a reservation or anything, but it was really expensive. And yes, you got to go on all the rides, but at Disneyland Paris, there's not very many rides you can actually use it for compared to like Disneyland and DCA. However, when I keep seeing things like they keep trying out, it's like, oh gosh, that's coming over here now. To me, I'm so sick and tired of all these different pricing things. It just seems like Disney's trying to find more and more ways to, gouge the customer. And it drives me nuts because look, they just upped the passes, and I just told you I wasn't going to renew my daughter's pass. I didn't. I renewed my pass yesterday for Disneyland and DCA, but I didn't renew it for my daughter, and it's awful because, look, she's not too devastated, thankfully, about it, but to me, I'm kind of bummed about it because I would love to keep her going. And yes, I could buy it for her, but it's a whole thing of she's not going as much as we'd like her to go, and she's focusing on school, which is really important. But the fact is, we have passes to other places that we can go to all the time, like Knott's Berry Farm that's opening up tomorrow, right? So Knott's Berry Farm is completely, it's cheap, it's affordable. We buy that for the whole family. Even SeaWorld's more affordable. Everything's more affordable than Disney right now, and that's the bummer thing. And I know that everyone loves Disney. I love Disney. I grew up loving it. I just saw a comment in the chat. Was it from Sunny Eclipse saying, I'm so glad I got 50 years worth of memories at Disneyland and Walt Disney World. I'm okay with not ever going back. Look, I've got a channel, so I'm going to keep going back, obviously, and the ticket does pay for itself. But in a sense, it's almost not worth it anymore to people. There's no real value, at Knott's Berry Farm. When you go there, you're getting, no blackout dates. Depending on which pass you buy, you usually average about $125 for both parks, water park and the regular theme park. And it's inexpensive. It's worth it. Disneyland, they keep raising the prices, but offering less to people. You've got blackout dates now that you can't go. You have to make reservations still to go. If you can't make it, like this week, I've been trying to get a reservation because now that I've kind of been recovering from my surgery, I was able to go back out last night or today, couldn't get a reservation. So it's frustrating knowing that I just bought this, $1,700 pass, and I can't even go to the parks the day I want to because, there's no reservations. Really? Come on. It's tough.
I want to pose this question to you, Erica. We talked about last week how this quarter was particularly troublesome for Disney, specifically in the international region. We saw a 32% decline in operating income. That's profit from the international experiences segment. And, obviously, I think they're looking to get back some of that, claw back some of that with some of these pricing schemes. You can see how instrumental revenue-wise the parks are for the entire Walt Disney Company. They're still the revenue driver for the company. This is why we call them more of a theme park company than anything else, because it's the one area that they're most profitable in, and now they're looking to increase profits even further. Is this a winning strategy?
It's hard to say. I'm not a financial analyst either, but that you have a camp of people that still go to Disney. It's just they're not garnering as many guests as they used to. Now, whether that's going to, continue to decline, especially with Universal Studios stepping up their game, and not just in Florida, but I hear they've got stuff going on here in Europe. There's Texas. And then other things coming down the pipeline. At some point, Disney's going to have to just go back to the drawing board and figure this out, because they can't keep going like this. I mean, it's just going to get worse, especially when Universal is finished with everything they have coming down the pipeline, which in reality is probably never going to be finished, because they're always going to have something new coming up around the corner.
Well, they have hundreds and hundreds of acres now that they'll have access to, thousands potentially after the Lockheed Martin facility relocates, which they're planning to do. So,
Yeah, good
you're
point.
going to watch Universal grow like crazy, as you mentioned, Erica. But at the same time, if you look at what is the revenue driver for the company, as Vash pointed out with that lovely chart, one of my favorite things that was ever created by somebody I don't know. So thank you
I
to
think it was
whoever.
Mickey Views, right?
Yeah, well, I'm telling you what, dude, good for him. But in looking at it, was it Mickey Views?
I think so. I've
I
seen
think
this
it's
before.
App Economy
App-
Insights. I believe they put
yeah.
out one.
Oh, never mind.
Yeah,
I don't know why.
Yeah.
I think he. Okay, never mind.
He's
Yeah.
the one that popularized it, though, for sure.
Yeah, and when you look at this, you recognize that linear networks are going to fall off, especially those that are on broadcast. They're going to have to do the same maneuver that Comcast, is doing with Comcast Universal, and break it off, and keep the good pieces and get rid of the bad. They are going to rely too much on their DTC right now. The revenue that it drives is still not valuable. The only thing that was Hulu, and now Project Hulk's going to destroy that into a billion pieces. Not to mention, adding gambling into their app is going to poison even more of the families around the country. But when you look at parks and experiences, it's really the one place left where they have a tactile connection to their audience outside of obviously cruise ships, which is part of the same field because it's parks and experiences. So that $7.1 billion in revenue really is key. It's incredibly important. And as sports rights start to be less important, and that bubble pops, and we realize that ESPN and ESPN Plus are going to fall off a cliff in the near future because sports has devalued itself by dividing it into so many different places, driven at streaming. You have people that just are just going to lose interest. And I don't think they realize that live audience is going to be cannibalized by moving it all over the place. So back to parks and experiences. It's the one place they can count on. And it doesn't matter how much they invest at this point because they're so far behind in deferred maintenance that they need to focus there first. If they don't focus there first, you're delivering under low quality experiences for all your guests who fondly remember Fantasyland and all of these other things. And Frontierland, if you really are legitimately destroying Frontierland, first of all, the guests are going to be without major attractions and areas for 6 years because Disney can't build anything faster than that right now in the United States. Whereas you go to, someplace like France, they can hustle the construction. You go to someplace like China, you can hustle the construction, and OLC embarrasses them whenever they put something together because it's much faster. They take Disney's expertise, engineering, and plans, and they just do it faster.
As my
Disney,
dad,
go ahead.
I was just going to say, as my dad would say, is Disney's not the only show in town when it comes to
anymore.
when it comes to entertainment, parks, and experiences. I mean, we just went. I know I was just complaining about theme parking in the cold, and we went to Fantasialand last Saturday to their Winter Trom, which is Winter Dream, and 69 euros per person to get into the park. And not only could we ride the rides and everything, but the park was just completely lit with lights. And then they had a fireworks show with water pyrotechnics. And oh my gosh, it swept me off my feet. And Disney doesn't do that anymore for me.
No, it doesn't. And as a reminder, and Erica, you may remember this from back in the day, and I know everybody here does. Disney used to make up for how poorly they had energized the MGM park, eventually known as the Studios Park, right? Mm-hmm. They had so poorly appointed that with attractions and entertainment options, and they just kept taking them away. So the last thing that was left in the holiday season was the Streets of America. And they would populate that with a family's long gathered Christmas decorations and lights. And I went.
Festival lights.
Yeah, we would go every year. Mm-hmm.
And we did too. And the experience was extraordinary. It was beautiful. The music and the carols and everything. And they didn't have a problem with God back then or anything that was a little bit religious. And you would get Hanukkah and Christmas alike, different songs that would pop up there. This is it. And you would thousands of people would be here in this empty space. And all it did was just give you the Christmas experience the holiday experience, I'll say, because there were menorahs and other things like that, and obviously a Star of David and all of that there as well. But it was just kind of a unique thing to go to, and you had locals and people travel from other countries to see this. So Disney has never been able to match this anywhere, and they're terrified of Christmas. Whereas if you've noticed retail-wise, and I was going to do this video, but it's well gone now, was that Target decided to put Merry Christmas back in their stores. And
I didn't know that. What? Really?
Yeah. and other things like that. They're trying to appeal to families and low prices again. But the reason being is they realize we've lost that audience. And we're appealing to people, and Disney's doing the same thing too. We're appealing to people that'll never have families. We're appealing to people that are against family.
But still fondly remember when they were kids and their families existed.
Yeah, exactly.
So you get the Disney adults, the dinks, whatever you want to call them, that are taking up space in a park, and they're never going to have kids of their own to bring it to. So what generation are you passing this on to, Disney? None. You are dooming the future of your company, and it's been happening for the last almost 20 years. I'm going to say 17 years now, where you've been alienating people. Well, boys and girls, that's a thing. Ladies and gentlemen, also a thing.
Children.
I take friends. I'm like, I'm not your friend. You're not my friend. I don't know who you are.
Yeah, I would say, what?
You could at least address me as ma'am,
It's like, it's like these ads you get online that say things like, I got to tell you about the best pizza I ever had anywhere. And I'm going, who the hell are you? Why should I trust you? This instant intimacy of total strangers that they think somehow convinces you.
Oh, you know what?
All it does is offend you.
Lou, I blame Vash for that. So that's always default position.
Well, ultimately, he is responsible for everything. I will give you that. But
honestly, and that's the whole that's the whole point, though, is that those special things you were describing in Germany, there are many places throughout Europe where there's a one of a kind Christmas experience there for you.
Mm-hmm.
And
folks, go on YouTube and go look for Christmas market walking tours. Mm-hmm. There are probably 30 or 40 of them. I've been spending hours as they walk through Nuremberg, and they walk through, and they give you in subtitles the history of it. And those are just gorgeous, gorgeous places. And if you went there and all you bought was a glühwein and a pretzel, they would be happy. Because you would be happy. You don't have to spend $5,000
a year.
Oh, yeah.
And look, I mean, there are places you go that it's a once in a lifetime perhaps for you, because you only travel there once, but it's just a once a year experience for them. And it's incredible. If you get the opportunity to travel, which seems to be cheaper than going to Disney World now, especially with these new European prices in France, right? And because everything goes through France, like it's a screen door, or they were a German welcome mat. Just understand that whatever goes through France ends up here in the States and elsewhere. We got to deal with it. That's the thing. That France's reputation is whatever goes through France, we have to deal with. So
even if you break even on a year, even if you break even on a European tour, you're still getting more of an experience than a theme park where it's all artificial. It's a counterfeit to the real European experience.
I've been lucky because I've been able to travel a lot of different places, and I always tell people, look, if you are sad about Disney, if you're sad about the things you're being able to see, take a trip to Europe. Go to Japan. Japan will knock your eyeballs out.
Oh, I know.
If you want a Disney experience, go to Japan.
I'm doing that next year.
Bob, you didn't tell me about this. Oh, we're going to talk later.
Yeah.
Although I was watching, those two guys from Australia that do the great stuff. I forget what they're called now. Shame on
Review
me.
Time.
Yeah, Review Time. TYME. They just did one on Fantasy Springs, and they talked about how beautiful and marvelous and wonderful, except there is a popcorn booth that has something that they claim is roast beef flavored popcorn that they said is so bad and so awful and so amazingly disgusting, they can't figure out how it got in there. But the Japanese seem to like it. So,
they come up with the strangest weird things. I have seen barbecue flavored Bubblicious gum. in
Yeah, but
Japan.
see, you guys say that, but like I eat seaweed, like
I can't do it. I
all the
tried.
time.
So
I
is my
can't do
daughter.
it.
Yeah, I love it, man. It's like these, like
Raph loves it. I can't. I don't.
you wrap nori with it, right? But you also can do like hand wraps, like for a California roll, and they serve it
Yeah.
like an ice cream cone.
Mhm, yeah,
And the
I used
giant,
to
yeah,
Japanese
I
and sit there and eat it behind the wheel in the cars on the way to
yeah,
work or for
I'm
on
like,
lunch.
dude, that's a great lunch, man. Come on.
Like,
Come
Yeah.
on.
no.
Yeah.
So if I can
That
chime in,
that explains why your beard glistens so.
That's right. It's all the fish oil. It's all the fish oil.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
perfect.
exactly,
That's
exactly.
perfect.
well, so
But-
I
but-
haven't
but-
chimed in about the
Oh, go ahead.
Please.
chart that we had up, but I just want to say,
Yeah.
the way that Disney's been going with the whole direction, it's going to come to a head here soon. And I think Erica was, right when she was talking about, they can only do this for so long. I mean, eventually, especially with Epic Universe and what Universal's doing, they can only keep pricing this, and eventually it's going to crash, and they're going to have to roll things back and look at what they've done and where they're going and what they're doing, and they're going to have to make some major changes. Unfortunately, it hasn't gotten to that yet, but it's going to.
But it amazes me that they don't understand it because they're the genius numbers guys, right? They understand all of these things supposedly, and then you find out no, they really don't. Look, if you're the average family and you go every year and you love it and you know it's expensive, but you're willing to pay it, but you go and you say, God, it got expensive. How come the pass to the park was $20 more than they told me it was going to be? Oh, that's no big deal. I'll just spend $20 less on the merch, and I'll spend $30 less on the, and maybe I'll go every year and a half, and maybe I'll go every 2 years, and I can still do what I want to do. And at a certain point, the fact that they have market penetration, that there isn't one family like that, or 10 families like that, or 100 families like that, there are millions. And each one of them spends $20 less on this trip and $30 less on that part of the dinner. It adds up, guys. It adds up.
Look, and now that you have a comparative that is down the street, that is all brand new, that is definitely stealing at least 30% of market share, that is definitely stealing extra days from Disney, that is cheaper with with highly beneficial benefits, especially the Express Pass, especially if you're staying in one of their accommodations, their mid-level hotels and up. You can't afford this penny pinching, nickel and diming your customers to death to take away the annual trip that they used to take or the biannual trip that they used to take. Now, mind you, I was in Disney World 6-8 times a year on the regular. I was at Disneyland way more than that. And I was one of those crazy people with the Premier Pass that I would never buy again. First of all, because I don't know how much they would try to charge for it. And second, in order to enjoy the park the way I used to, I would have to buy the lightning bologna sausage super destructo $1 billion pass to go with it. And I'm not going to do that. Disney is losing my business.
Well, so I will say there's a couple things. One, we're not renewing my daughter's pass. I will say that I had some magical moments with her there, and it's really, really sad that she's not going back with me, because I love when they do the Christmas time at Disneyland, because there are some really cool things. However, here's the kicker. Tomorrow, Knott's Berry Farm is opening up Knott's Merry Farm, and they are doing the same thing, if not better than Disney when it comes to Christmas. And we were just talking about this with, Courting California and Theme Park Casual on Park Streamers the other night. Yep. See, I can't remember my own channel. There you go.
You're good.
Honey, I need some more of that. No, just kidding. Anyhow, so
a little more glue wine, honey.
I think I had too much surgery. Okay, so anyhow, what I was going to say though is that they have carolers walking around. They have, the Christmas, the Snoopy show on ice, which is awesome. They've got the Snow and Glow. Their Snow and Glow is 10 times better than what Disneyland is, and only because what they do is they come out with a little narration. They play, Somewhere in My Memory from Home Alone, and then they have a Christmas light show. And even though all the lights are white, it's there in Ghost Town. It's magical. It's cool. It's different. They have so much entertainment at Knott's Berry Farm that it makes it fun, exciting, and they know how to celebrate. They got the Christmas tree lighting, but they actually have people there at the lighting. It's not just, hey, look over here, we're going to light the tree, at Disneyland. And I'm not saying that Disney's not doing it right. They have some good moments there. It's cool. They've got Snope that smells like gingerbread. They don't have that over at Knott's, but the Knott's experience is just as good, if not better, and it's cheaper. And guess what? During the 2 weeks that everyone's blocked out, that's where everyone's going. And people are still going to Disneyland during Christmas, but that's where a lot of people are going because and
from 99% of Southern California, it's the same ride. It's the same distance away from wherever you live.
Yeah, it's not that far. It's only
that's all. I mean, it's 5 minutes one way or the other, 10 minutes.
Right.
But so the competition has to be on the value of the product, and the product is superior. I agree.
Mm-hmm.
That's just how that's how it's going, and that's how it's.
Not to mention, when you've been doing the same thing for every year for 20 years, maybe you want to try something new.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, Lou, you make a good point here. When the COVID restrictions were put in place, and they were heavily regulating who could actually go into Disneyland and so forth, a lot of people discovered a lot of these other parks, including Knott's Berry Farm, including us. We hadn't gone for many years, and then we went back. It's like, whoa. This is pretty cool. We got entertainment over here. We got roller coasters over here. This is awesome. And now we've been annual pass holders ever since. So that's just kind of how the cookie crumbles.
One last thing about Knott's before I step out. I'm going to say this: the food's amazing too.
Yeah,
the chicken is good.
So not to burst your bubble there, just a little bit of culture, but I just wanted to let you know they've not been as consistent as they used to be, which is a bummer because they've. And
are they more consistent than Disney is the question.
They have, but I will tell you, especially I started noticing it last summer, and I talked to one of the employees who works there that I know, and I said, listen, what is going on? Boardwalk Barbecue is one of my favorite places to eat. I feel like the quality and the amount that you get has gone down. And they're like, yeah, management's, they're changing the, different types of food they're using and brands. They're, making the portions smaller. I'm like, now don't get me wrong, the food's still good, but there's some hit and misses happening, unfortunately, right now at Knott's that weren't happening before. So,
hey, I put in the private site over here, if you want to put it in, a link to a site that I found recently that does these walking tours of places in Europe awfully well. And they've got about 6 or 7 different cities right now that they've got the Christmas markets. And the one I linked to was the one I first found. And be sure you turn on the subtitles, because this guy doesn't just walk you through, in this case, Nuremberg, which has 4, 5, 6 different Christmas markets. He gives you the history and this building was part of the original wall, and then it would turn down, or it's very informative, and they're all a couple hours, and you'll just sit there at your computer and take a voyage. They're really, really special. I highly recommend them. I really do.
Yeah, this
Fantastic.
is awesome.
It's in the chat.
Yeah.
There we go.
We're going to be filming the Christmas markets that we're going to this year. And it's funny you mentioned the walking tours, because I was thinking of just doing like a quiet walking type without any narration.
Well, that's what he does, but he puts it in the subtitles. He'll say, well, this is the so-and-so church, and it was built in 14 something. And, simple stuff, but it gives you context. It gives you interest.
Yeah, no, I'm the same way. I like to get a little bit into the history, especially the sites that are in those villages, because there's always something, especially if there's a cathedral or a church, in that village.
Right.
There's always something.
Very cool. Well, I know a lot of our panelists have to depart right here. Culture, I want to go ahead and make sure that we usher you properly right here. Where can the good people find you on this great
actually, at Culture Casino, we're working on 27K. Hopefully we're trying to get to 50K. You can also check us out, most importantly, at this place, that game place, where myself and a guy that's about to join us and many others that you're familiar with from that park place, WDW Pro, this channel, and elsewhere throughout the YouTubes, all congregate to talk about video games, video game news, and deliver some of that. So do check that out as well. So thanks for having me, Vash. I can't believe you left the door open. I snuck right in.
No, absolutely. The door is open to you anytime, good sir. Thank you so much for joining us. Fantastic stuff today.
I think you know why that door is open. He'd like it returned, please, before we get to that.
All right. I'll work on that.
Congrats on 27,000.
No. I said I'm working on it.
You're working. Oh, you're close there. Yeah. You're close enough.
I'm almost to 26.3, but it's thanks to all the amazing people out there. And do me a favor, subscribe to this channel. Double check you're still subscribed, because let me tell you, Vash absolutely needs this thing to grow. It deserves it. T3PO is a wild entity, in theme park entertainment, and you need to subscribe to the wild, like Barry Place and Erica and Raph. And if Lou would do some solo ventures, I'm sure people would enjoy him as well.
Well, I thought about it, but I'm lazy.
That's a lot.
At least you're honest.
Not to do them,
exactly.
but to set it all up. I've had an idea for something for a long time, and I just haven't gotten around to doing the
well, hey, you know what? I don't have enough projects, Lou. Hit me up someday. I'll work with you.
Oh, all right. Well, I hate to do that. But,
I really have to go. I love you guys. I'll see you later.
Go.
Come
back
See
soon.
you later, buddy. Thank you.
Bye.
Let's see, Bob. Where can the good people find you, good sir?
Well, you can find me at Barry Place 28 on all my social media channels. And let's see, also that, or I almost said that Park Place. You like that? You can find me here too, or there too. You can also find me at Park Streamers. I'm always there hanging out. But I finally am recovering from surgery. Unfortunately, I still can't use my right hand and arm to its full capacity, but I will be at the parks. Hopefully tomorrow at Knott's Merry Farm for a little bit. So I saw Marty's supposed to be there. I hope to see you there, Marty. And then I will be at Disneyland on Saturday with my daughter and hanging out with some of the streamers, eating some of the Christmas food and checking things out over at DCA. So that'll be a lot of fun. And then hopefully, I think I'm going to be back on Monday at Disneyland again. So I'll be streaming quite a bit since I haven't been streaming a whole lot the last couple weeks.
Absolutely. And D-Bud Martin has your everything in the chat for you to find all of your your X account, YouTube, everything like that. Definitely check out Bob. He is awesome. He's an amazing streamer, and I know you've been working on those vertical videos right there, which is a very interesting segment of YouTube. You're really killing it. So fantastic stuff, man.
Lou, Erica, always a pleasure to see you, and I hope you guys are well.
Likewise.
Getting
better every day.
Absolutely.
All
And
right.
thank you so much, Bob. Very much appreciate it.
See you later. Bye, everyone.
We'll see you later.
Bob.
Wait.
What?
Thank you.
I'm not going anywhere.
Oh, but
What?
I thought you had to leave
wait.
for.
Yeah,
for your time.
but you were letting me go. But that's all right because I got some things I can do anyhow. So.
Oh, well, no. If you want to stay, please stay. I want to make
let
sure that
the Yeti stay. The
we
Yeti can stay right there.
See, this is why most of what I do with Vash is just the two of us. Because if he lets me go unexpectedly, he's stuck with Bupkis. So, what can I say?
I can hang for a few more minutes.
Oh, you got it? Okay. Well,
I'm so wide awake. I'm having a hard time going to
then
sleep.
let's keep you guys in
Tiny
here.
Tots with her eyes all aglow will find it hard to sleep tonight.
Just ignore what I said.
Yeah. No. It's fine. Let's go ahead and because I thought these guys had to go sooner. That's fine. That's no problem.
He's somebody else. No, see ya.
Nolan Thunder.
I get here and everyone starts making excuses to try to leave. Is that a coincidence?
No, he was just telling me I was leaving. I was like,
there are no coincidences.
Whoops,
Nolan.
sorry.
There are no
I
coincidences.
got times right. We're off.
You successfully
Bob.
guilted me into fine. I can stay a little longer.
Fantastic. Well, I am very happy. We are very happy to have you. Going on to our next theme park story right here. I think this is going to be really great. Nolan, you're going to get a kick out of this right here. Here we go. From that park place, Marvin Montanaro, Walt Disney World's Lightning Lane Premier Pass sold out for the first time. Yes, and not for the last time, unfortunately. Walt Disney World's massively expensive Lightning Lane Premier Pass, which regularly exceeds $400, by the way, per person, has sold out for the first time ever going into Thanksgiving week. The costly lineskeeping service sold out for November 25th, the Monday before Thanksgiving, for both Magic Kingdom and Disney's Hollywood Studios theme parks. It allows guests to enter the Lightning Lane queue for each attraction in the park one time. Currently, only guests staying at Disney's Deluxe Resorts or Disney's Deluxe Villa Resort hotels can purchase Lightning Lane Premier Pass. For November 25th, Lightning Lane Premier Pass costs $309 per person in Hollywood Studios and $379 for Magic Kingdom. The service is priced according to demand and varies by day. That means that a family of 4 attending Magic Kingdom on November 25th with Premier Pass would pay $1,516 for Lightning Lane access alone. That's not including tickets, folks. This is on top of admission price, which on that day comes at $189 per person for 1 day ticket. That brings the total for a single day up to $2,250. $172. Now, again, even to get a Premier Pass Lightning Lane at Walt Disney World, you have to be staying at a deluxe resort. That same distinction doesn't exist at Disneyland. And by the way, it didn't just sell out for that day. It actually sold out for 2 more days. So I believe a day later, Scott Goosen had this update. Lightning Lane Premier Pass is selling out quickly for Thanksgiving week. Both Magic Kingdom and Disney Hollywood Studios sold out for November 25th. Magic Kingdom is now sold out for November 26th. Thrill Data actually put this whole chart together right here. Let me go ahead and refresh this and make sure.
That's a lot.
And you can kind of see the availability. But now we have what? We have the 21st. Looks like it's not available. That's today. I wonder if it's sold out today. That's interesting. But the 26th, 27th, I'm sorry, the 25th, 26th, and then the 28th are now all sold out for Magic Kingdom. And this varies by park. Guys, are you willing to spend $400 in some cases to skip the line at one park per day at Walt Disney World?
The lines aren't even that long. The attendance it doesn't even warrant or justify this. These are people that live under a rock. They're not keeping up with the stats and what's going on in the parks. They're clearly not watching live streamers on YouTube. I mean, they're not in the know, and they're just, oh, it's Disney. It's always crowded. And they're just, with the money, and they're going to get there and find out, it may have not been worth it.
What's the point of even buying a Lightning Lane for Hollywood Studios when Galaxy's Edge is about as dead as my local mall?
Goodness gracious. This is
They're not
we've seen these
attention.
monetization practices. Well, yes. I mean, I think there are some people who have more money than time, right? And so on some level, it might make sense. I think we had a chart breakdown by Chris W on Twitter who was talking about, look, if you spend, let's say you're at Disneyland, for example, and in that case, you're actually getting both parks for that one price. So for a family of 4, sure, you'd be spending like $2,000, but would you spend even more money if you were to stay at Disneyland Resort for like 3 or 4 days versus getting something like this for 1, maybe even 2 days? And that's kind of the big factor there. So I guess in one way, if you're looking to like minimize your trip time and maximize your time, this might work. But man, you got to have a lot of money. At Walt Disney World, a deluxe resort is, a minimum $700 in a lot of cases. So I
could build my own theme park for that money.
Yes. so per day. So it's 2,000. It's over $2,000 per day, and then $700 per night. I mean, you're talking family of 4 days, $10,000 or something like that. That's a lot of change.
That's a lavish vacation in terms of how much money you're spending, but they're not going to get a lavish vacation.
So
No.
Here's the interesting thing. So when I went to Disneyland Paris last year and we bought the Premier Pass, and I bought it because unfortunately we were supposed to be there when the park opened in the morning, and we had a fiasco taking the Euro train over there. Anyhow, when we got over there, it was like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And I was like, you know what? We literally are leaving at 2 p.m. the following day. So we're not even going to get a full, day in each park. So I'm just going to go ahead and buy it. So I bought it. It was totally outrageous. It really, it helped us get on the rides really quickly, which was great, but not all the rides, because not every single ride had an actual, lightning lane. We bought it because we needed to, because I'd never been to Disneyland Paris and I wanted to experience everything I could all within that, 24-hour period. It's funny because Pam in the chat says, if this information is coming out of Disney, sorry, but I don't believe it. VashSky, it's a spin. Well, the thing is, over at Walt Disney World, you can only buy it if you're staying at the deluxe resort, right? So maybe Disney's spinning it. I mean, to be honest with you, I don't believe that they actually sold through all their Magic Keys when it came to Disneyland. When
Correct. Yeah.
They supposedly sold out, but I don't think they did. I think that was just a ploy to get everyone to think they did, so that they paid to go to Disney during Christmas with these big, huge prices. And then come beginning next year, they'll start selling passes again, I'm sure. But I honestly think that it's because it's Thanksgiving week. It's everyone's out of school, and so it's the first time this is supposedly happening on the 25th. I think people are just, especially the people who can afford it, right? Oh, well, you know what? It's going to be busy. It's going to be packed, so I'll just go ahead and do it. But to me, I kind of think I'm like Erica. I'm like, why do it? It's not been busy in the park. It hasn't been that, crazy. It seems kind of ridiculous to spend that much money. But then again, these are people who have money that can do it, and that's probably why they are.
Hey, Bob, did you say the only way you can buy this is if you're staying at a deluxe resort?
Mhm.
Correct.
Yep.
Which
correct.
is crazy because I'm pretty sure correct me if I'm wrong here, if anyone knows, but I'm pretty sure at Universal, if you stay at one of their higher tier hotels, don't you get a fast pass
Express pass.
included with your
Yes.
stay?
Yeah.
You can.
Correct.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, it's included. It's auto included in their hotel price for the what do they call it? Their version of Fast Pass.
Express pass.
Express Pass. Yeah.
With Disney, you don't get it included. You get the opportunity to buy
purchase
an
it
magical
extra.
experience.
Right.
Yeah.
This is awful. Am I the only one who's actually shocked that this sold out? Because the reality is, like, I know
Thank you. I am too.
I'm shocked
Well,
that it
I
happened at Walt Disney World, to be honest with you.
Oh, that's a very good point. That's a good distinction as well, because remember, it's not nearly as valuable as maybe like Disneyland Resorts, where both parks are included. So that had to be park specific right there. Pam Epson, I think, is right to be skeptical of this. We don't know necessarily how many guests are allowed to even buy this service. I know they were saying it's going to be heavily regulated. And you have to think. So for any attraction at Walt Disney World, it has a set finite maximum capacity, right? You can only have, let's say, 1,500 guests per hour. For example, for something like, I don't know, Dinosaur is probably 1,500 people per hour. Well, now you're splitting it not one, not two, not three, but 5 different ways if you add this on, because you have to split it between the standby, right? That's your traditional guest line, and you have to split it between disability access service. That's 2, VIP tours. That's 3, multi-pass lightning line. That's 4, and then now premier pass lightning lane. That's 5. So. And again, you're only limited to 1,500 people per hour, so it makes sense that you would highly regulate that last one, because obviously that's going to eat into all the others. We don't quite know how many that they're selling per day. Also, too, this is going to really affect ratios, I think, because I think you're going to have a lot of cast members who are going to be instructed, hey, look, we need to get these lightning lanes through as quickly as possible. No matter if you're Lightning Lane Premier Pass or if you're Lightning Lane Multi-Pass, remember, they share the same line. The only advantage that you get with Premier Pass is that you don't have to make reservations before you actually get into the line. So that means, now think about this. The ratios is very crucial, right? So let's say you have 1,500 people per hour and you have, let's say, 15 people in the standby line, but then the rest are Lightning Lane. If you're doing, let's say, a 99-to-1 ratio, those 15 people will have to wait 1 hour because the ratios are so high. Go ahead, Erica.
I'm just kind of lost my train of thought. I'm
sorry.
I'm just shocked. Like Nolan, that it actually sold out, and okay, that's what I was going to get at. But you're paying such a high premium price for this, and they don't even open up a third line. They could at least let these people go through the lines where the VIP and the Golden Oaks people, get to go through. They have their own separate, they're kind of hidden, but they're there. For that price, I mean, come on. And I don't know what the Thanksgiving stats are going to be this year in terms of attendance. Sure. I get that the holidays are busier, but the fact remains is that historically, compared to previous years, it's less and less. They're not going to be at capacity like they have been prior to the pandemic. Where you're turning people away to go to another park because they can't fit any more into the Magic Kingdom. And then I'm going to go into something else here. I get that the Magic Kingdom is the most popular park. Usually you can do Animal Kingdom and Hollywood Studios in one day if you divide the if you divide it up properly. So go to Animal Kingdom in the morning when the animals are awake, do that for the morning part, and then go to Hollywood Studios because there's not a whole lot to do there. And you can knock out that park in the afternoon, evening. And these people, I don't, we're in the information era. The stuff is out there, and I just don't understand how they're coming to these decisions. And it's such a waste. So I don't care. Even if I had that kind of money, I still don't want it wasted.
Yeah, it's extremely well said there, Erica, because like for that kind of money, Ariel better be escorting me to the front of the line first off.
Right?
Second,
Thank you.
second off,
That's true.
Riding with me in the ride vehicle.
When I
I
was thinking earlier when I was in the backstage when I joined in, I remember you guys were talking a bit about how like Disney's trying to aim a bit more at, the single adults, and that type of crowd as opposed to like the families, stuff like that. But I'm here scratching my head because I'm like, man, single adult here knows a lot of single adults here. We ain't got no money. Well, who's buying these tickets?
I was gonna say, who's single and has that? Because I know a lot of my friends that are single, they're barely making ends meet. They're not making over 100 grand a year, and it's just I don't know. Disney's just like, I don't know what world they're living in, but they're not living in reality.
I don't mean to be just bringing up, random tinfoil hat theories here, but it's questionable because I just don't understand. And I'm like, are there that many rich kids out there who are just buying these up?
No, you know what I think it is? People are willing to go into debt. They finance and finance and finance. It's one thing about American culture that we know is that as a whole, as a culture, we are willing to go in debt up to our rear ends for almost anything. I mean,
True.
The loan debt, the credit card debt, we are a culture of borrowed debt. You come to Europe and the Europeans, they pay cash for everything. Their mortgages are only 5 to 10 years long.
Wow.
The average mortgage here is not a 30-year mortgage. They pay these bad boys off in about 10 years. So,
we can learn a lot from their culture, and that could really improve.
In comparison, in the American culture, we borrow, and that's the only thing I can think of, unless you are just in that minority group where you are making, I don't want to say, you don't have to be making a lot of money to have a lot of money, because wealth isn't defined in that way. But there are people that have lower incomes, but they're debt free, and they're being smart about their money, and they can afford something like this. But that's not everybody. That's still a minority camp.
Yeah.
True, very true. And there's only so much you can borrow before the mafia starts coming after you. So
I'll say this. So speaking of money, the quoted price in the article was $2,272. That was with tickets and for this Lightning Lane Premier Pass system here. If you add on 4 days, let's say, of deluxe pricing at about $700, which is, that's bottom right there. That's $2,800. If we assume that those ticket prices stay static, which they won't, they're dynamic, but let's just assume they do, combine those two totals together for a family of 4 for 4 days, you're looking at $11,888 starting.
Oh, do not get me started. You can get a flight
4 days
round trip. If you, I'm going to give you a little secret here. If you guys want to come to Germany, go to abctravel.de, and they speak English. You can get round trip tickets for about $700 a person round trip. You may have a stop somewhere, but that's about what we pay. And ABC Travel they'll sell to anybody, even in the US, and it's cheaper to get your tickets on this side of the pond than in the US. And that's not including, if you want to go to a place like Fantasyland or Europa Park and your vacation out here, you're paying maybe $70 to get into their parks. And then when they run specials, $45 maybe, like €50.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
that's
and they're
awesome.
always running deals. So, if you want to have a theme park vacation, but you also want to come in and have an international theme park vacation, it's still going to run you cheaper on the airline and your park tickets alone. And then find an Airbnb or even the hotels. You're not going to spend what Disney's charging out here. you know, and your rental car would probably be your most expensive thing.
Wow. Do they have Uber or Lyft services over in Germany?
No, they don't, unfortunately. At least here in Germany, they don't. But I mean, you could get a cab, but I mean, you're better off just renting a car. Just budget to rent a car.
No, it sounds like it's a lot more economic. You said, what was that collective price there? You said, Vash, you said $4,000 for 4 people, right?
Yeah. So let me go ahead and get back to my math here. So for four people for one day, you're talking about $2,272. But that doesn't include.
I'd like to point out that is more money than what I spent for 2 people to go to Epic Universe, and that is way more worth the price of admission. You know, brand new theme park. All this for getting to skip lines at Disney. Like, I don't see that.
And that was for. Those were the multi-day tickets, right? For the other parks as well.
Yeah, so you get 3 parks out of it. It was definitely not the most, like, it's not the ideal. It'd be nice if they, if Mickey just gave you a hug and I could walk right in the park. That'd be nice. But still, like, it's just boggles the mind of why it would be that much. I don't know where this money is coming from for the guests. I don't know how the park standard is showing that. And not to mention, here pretty soon here, if things go the way they want them to go, whether you're in favor of it or not, Frontierland, that's going to be the magical wall here pretty soon. So you're already losing a good chunk of the Magic Kingdom with that.
Erica, you were going to say?
I forgot what I was going to say.
My bad.
Lou.
No, you're
Lou,
fine.
are you
I'm
you
back.
looking to pay
in the saddle
11?
again.
You're good. You're looking to play $12,000 for a family of 4 to go to Magic Kingdom or
for what, 4 days?
For 4 days.
Oh, wait. I'm going to pay this
Labor
family
Ribbons?
$12,000 and they're going to buy my way in. Is that the plan?
Yeah, we'll buy you into the Disney family. No, we were just
used to rent handicap people to people so they could get in. So
that's true.
Oh,
That did go on.
Oh,
Yes.
I remember I was going to say, we stayed at a, so we
I mean,
usually
will they
go
mow the
through-
lawn? Will they, help out around the house? Will they do something? Might be a good deal.
Erica, please.
We usually go through like VRBO or Vacasa, which is like Airbnb, and we'll stay in the Davenport area just outside of Disney. And we spend for like 3 weeks about $2,400 in a full house with a private pool. I mean, it was still kind of pricey, but when you compare it to what you're paying on Disney property in a deluxe resort, I mean, and we got to see everything. And this was in the month of June. I mean, granted, this was 2023, and things have doubled in price since then. But the Airbnbs and the Vacasa and VRBO rentals are pretty much, the pricing hasn't changed much
Right.
in the area. You can get a full house for 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms with a private pool for as low as $89 a night.
Nice.
The value proposition there, it just doesn't exist anymore at Disney. I mean, and look, if you want to have the same exact time that you may have had years ago, I mean, the hoops and the amount of money that you had to spend in order to have such an experience, it's just outrageous. I don't know. It's not a long-term proposition. They are desperate for cash, and you can definitely see that with some of their monetization practices. Maybe that's why Andrew Wilson might be the guy going forward. That's a whole nother story. The Mum here with 199. Thank you so much. New attractions at all Disney parks. Quote, price hikes. Yeah, it's that's the new attraction for 2025 and beyond. So there you go. But hey,
Now,
guess what?
That's Disney's price hikes, please. We have to get the copyright right.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah. Now you might be, very dismayed by these price hikes at the Disney parks, but guess what? They are investing into the parks, and they're really looking to change some things right here. In fact, they just upgraded Soarin'. Would you look at that right there? The finale scene updated, and the curved Eiffel Tower finally fixed there at Epcot. Look at that.
What?
We have the new Epcot film, which that took 6 years too long, but we finally got it there. and now we have the Eiffel Tower, which is a little straighter than it was before. Some of my favorite shirts, by the way, where they had the curved Eiffel Tower and it said Soren, and everybody knew exactly what that was all about. Fantastic. This by Mike here. Nearly a year after the World Celebration Gardens opened at Epcot, the Soarin' finale scene has been updated to reflect the new views, this being Walt Disney World's version at Epcot. Of course, filming was delayed due to delayed opening of Communicore Hall and Disney's desire to have no construction walls in the final video. We stopped by Epcot today to give you a first look at the updated scene. Now, if you notice this scene right here, you see Tinkerbell right there. She's flying over. You see these lights here at center portion of Epcot right there. That's funny that those lights are actually on in that photo because, well, guess what? Those are the only times you can actually see them because, unfortunately, you can't see them like this, like they were intended on opening day, at Epcot itself. In fact, apparently they're doing some work on these that might be removing the lights. It's hard to say. As part of Epcot's recent years-long overhaul, Disney Imagineers installed thousands of programmable LED light fixtures throughout World Celebration in the center of the park. The lighting design aimed to create synchronized effects across the entire area, tying together the World Celebration Gardens, Spaceship Earth points of light, the exterior of Communicore Hall, and even the interior lights of the Connections Cafe. But soon after World Celebration opened, significant issues with the in-ground lighting strips became apparent, raising questions about the durability of this new system. The center planner in World Celebration was initially surrounded by vibrant in-ground lighting. It was intended to enhance the area's atmosphere as it shifted color patterns during the nightly Spaceship Earth light shows. However, just weeks after their debut, the lighting strips began to show signs of failure. Sections around the planter were frequently left unlit or displayed incorrect colors, and cracks appeared in the plastic strips covering the lights. Summer brought new challenges as high temperatures caused sections of the lighting covers to warp and lift. Oh, that's great.
Because it's never been in the entire history of planning this thing over 6 years that it gets hot in the summer at Disney. Oh, wait, Bob said it did.
You can see right there.
That's so far along without someone saying something. This should have been stopped at the concept.
Because the same people that are getting paid to do it wrong will get paid to fix it for the next 6 years.
Now, recent changes suggest that Disney is addressing these issues head on. This week, most of the translucent lighting covers around the center planner have been replaced with solid or white opaque covers. It's unclear whether the lighting system is being removed or undergoing a significant repair. We'll go over these as people are chatting in. Erica, go ahead, please.
I started an inside joke with Lorena about I told her, or I asked her, let me guess, Disney painted over it. Disney being cheap. Yeah, Disney being cheap and covering it,
Yes.
Cheap Disney, I'm like, they're going ghetto now. They're just going to paint over it. And it looks like paint. It does. It looks like
Yes, it does look like paint. If you look at up close photos,
like they just took paint and
it doesn't even look that good. So I believe Walt Disney World, WW Magic has a photo here. Let's see. Like, if you see it, it's very different from the translucent strips that existed before, and you can kind of see what we're talking about here. This is all supposed to be illuminated, and well, this is kind of how it has been for the last year or so.
It didn't occur to anybody that they could have used glow in the dark strips to cover it, and at least for an hour or two they would glow.
Yeah, or I was just gonna say with the white strips, if they shine like black light, the white would at least kind of illuminate under black light. But
they obviously haven't turned them off either, because even with the covers, we see the lights lighting underneath those covers in sporadic places. So
why did they even put those covers on in the first place? They usually, well, I guess they have them on here, but why not just shut them off and save you the trouble?
That's the thing. They might actually be.
The originals were cracked too, and I guess they figured pouring more water into it wasn't exactly going to do it any good. So
they might be looking to cover these up.
And you've all seen them forever now, but I know Vash has them somewhere. I found a British-made boat that has light strips like this in its decks that are exposed to the ocean and rain and sun. And somehow they work. It's not rocket science. It's not even boat science. But
what the hell? This is my thing. Look, back in the day, Imagineers, really did a great job. They cared. They tested things out. They didn't work. They replaced them, things like that. But they always usually made sure that before they opened whatever ride, attraction, or show, or etc., or area like this, they would make sure that it worked fairly well. And there's just no care like there used to be. Now,
Yeah, they would have settled for a lesser product that worked rather than the flawed fancy version that doesn't.
Right,
just to get something up that was consistent and nice.
But it almost just seems like they just don't care. Oh, sorry. What were we going to point out here?
No, I was going to say that this was the effect that used to exist for Epcot for a good 25 years, according to Parkology here.
It's amazing.
Yeah, they used to have fiber optics in the ground.
As I remember as a kid, and I remember just chasing after those lights on the ground, and it was just so pretty, and it felt so magical. And I don't understand how this was a miss with the. I mean, it was a pretty concept with the lights there. Why? Oh my gosh!
But not only that, to me, it seems like lighting should be not such a hard issue. Now, granted, they may have been trying to use some sort of new lighting technique or material, and it didn't work. But I would have thought they would have tested again. They would test it, or hey, we noticed that there might be some issues here. We're going to replace it. We're going to do something. Even like what Lou was saying, do it with an inferior product, but get it out there and make sure it works.
I mean,
how many CEOs do we have to go through to fix a light bulb?
Well, that's the old psychiatrist joke. How many psychiatrists does it take?
That was the best comment tonight.
The answer is only one, but the bulb has to really want to change. So,
well, that's the thing. So these lights have been in disarray. Now it's spreading to the fountain, as you can see right there. And I guess the ring lighting around the turnstiles.
I wonder if they stole all the ones that work and put them in Bob's shower.
Well, he's in a light show, isn't he?
that shower has to be, ahead of the curve right there. That's the one perk that Bob gets.
Maybe they found out that if there were hippos anywhere on the property, they'd be distracted in some negative way by these lights if they worked. So.
I just have this headcanon that Bob Iger's shower just looks like it's gold plated. There's like a window. You can see the outside zoo with all the hippos and stuff.
I'm just sitting here like all this education in engineering, and I mean, what happened? You're supposed to know better.
You're
supposed to know what you're doing.
I don't know what happened. I don't know. It's the craziest thing in the world because, LED fixtures. I mean, if you're going to have something embedded in the ground like this, obviously you have to, it's going to be pressure washed every single night. Every single theme park fan knows this. These guys who design these things should absolutely know this. Yes.
Lighting.
What job?
In the ground. And it had already been done perfectly and beautifully. And what was it that you couldn't find the blueprint to copy? Oh my gosh.
Exactly. I mean, that's amazing. I love what Go and Shogu wrote. It's why Journey of Water took so long. Iger's shower was the test run.
Dang it, Bob, you're using up the water bill.
Come on, Bob. Oh, there's a picture of Bob going through Journey of Water. Oh, I gotta find that. We gotta make.
I don't know if I want to see that photo.
Reply by mail. We need memes. We need memes immediately. But hey, you can still catch. Well, you can't catch the actual light show like it was intended, but you can catch at least, what it was supposed to be on a Soarin' attraction for like 2 seconds. So.
But see, that's sad though, because they're not representing Epcot the way it really is.
Of course.
Yeah, I guess we're going to get off the attraction and be like, what happened?
Yes. What happened?
I want my money back now.
Eiffel Tower's fixed, but
if you see here, it's very dark, very difficult to see, but you can actually see the monorail pass by in some of these shots. I want to say, right here. You can see that they don't have the undermounted lighting that was, that's part of now the operating monorails of today. So they even cheaped out on that just a little bit. It's so bizarre
I
what they choose to spend money on.
I assume when they filmed this, maybe they did it on purpose because they didn't want the monorail to be so much in focus. So they were, I don't know, I could be wrong, but okay. So why, I'm going back to old school Disney here. Don't they usually do this kind of stuff after hours? Why would the monorail be running? I mean,
well,
they're filming for an attraction I'm just sitting here like, did you really do this when guests were there and the park was operating?
I bet they probably did it because they wanted the shot to look better. They probably wanted to be more extravagant what's going on. So I bet they probably timed the monorail to go through with it. But then again, that does make me think of some blooper shots where they don't time the monorail right and the camera's coming in and it's slightly off. It's going too fast. It's like, no, slow it down. Come on.
Yeah, but and they're going to take, more than one take. If you're going to put this into an attraction, I mean, I usually stuff like that. I at least at Disney, I used to know, would do this kind of stuff after hours when there's no guests. Because I mean, I don't know. I could be wrong. Could be, I don't know.
I think
got a point.
I think so. For the Christmas version of Disneyland that was filmed for the original version of Soarin' Over California back in 2001, I think it was actually filmed with guests in the park because they couldn't CGI those guests. I think now, to your point, Erica, they might film them after hours, and now we can just.
Ron just brought up a good point. He's like on that CGI. I didn't think about that.
The monorails could be CGI. They could not be there and be put in to try and give a verisimilitude to this thing. But years ago, a friend of mine was working as a grip on a Sears commercial. And you might remember these commercials because they did basically the same commercial 4 times a year for each of their 4 annual appliance sales. The spring, the summer, the fall, the winter. And it consisted of a big empty white cyclorama set with pedestals, and here's refrigerators, and here's vacuum cleaners, and here's stoves. And the host, what was his name, Bud Collier or something, would walk from one section to the next day. Save 30% on these washers. Save 10% on these. And each year they had to decorate it for the season. And the year I went was because a friend of mine was gripping it, and afterwards they couldn't sell the appliances in the stores because they were technically used. So they were selling them off to the crew for like nothing. And he was going to get a refrigerator for like $50. But you had to have a truck there ready to take it away at the end of the day, right? So I brought a pickup truck from my father's factory and stood there watching these experts at Warner Brothers on a big empty soundstage. The decoration, this was the spring sale, consisted of some big paper flowers about 4 feet high in a fake flower pot. And the art director of the commercial was this young girl who put those out there in very special places. So I was there on the second day of the 2-day shoot, and they said, we had a problem in the lab last night, and yesterday's film didn't go. So we got to shoot it all again. They had already done all the master shots. All they had to do was close-ups of him standing in front of the... Well, wait, we got to do the masters now. So since they had moved things to get ready to do the close-ups, they call in Miss Art Director, and she goes up on the crane with a director's viewpoint, the loop, and starts going a little to the left, a little to the right, a little back, a little forward with each one of these damn flowers to replicate what it had been yesterday, and the film from yesterday was unusable. So we all stood around.
No.
We stood around for 2.5 hours while she reset that set.
Oh,
that's the kind of navel gazing that goes on. Now, this was in winter, and 17 people from Sears headquarters were there to supervise, having a nice summery Southern California vacation in the middle of winter in Chicago. Okay? That's the kind of crazy stuff that goes on these things because there's nobody to say no. Sam Goldwyn said, a rock is a rock, a tree is a tree, shoot it in Griffith Park, right? So this is this, what was that line from All the President's Men about, well, you had some guys that weren't too bright and things got a little out of hand? Well, that's got to be what's going on here. And it's just shameful. Just shameful. Anyway, I didn't mean to tell an endless story.
No.
Just to give you the the glimpse into the mentality, because we're all assuming these are smart people and they must know what they're doing and there must be some sensible reason. And I'm here to tell you, nope, there mustn't. It's just momentum drives the beast.
These MBAs, these people who are running the parks right now, it's crazy how they are allocating certain capital expenditures, investments, and so forth, putting stuff towards, like a DVC lounge, for example, taking over the Frontierland Shooting Arcade. A decision that would never be made 10 years ago now is made with frequency, because you just have people who are looking to
and then they get a press release out of showing you pictures of it. Came out last week, I think it was.
That's right. That's right.
Just shows that money and education doesn't buy common sense.
On the other hand, Vash, I don't know if you're ready to move on from this yet or not.
Yep.
But you want to show them the Universal pictures and show you how you do a press release? I think we shall. Just put the pictures out there and let them speak for themselves. They're brilliant.
They're gorgeous.
This is one of my favorite stories of the week here, because man, oh man, Universal has come to play. Here we go. That Park Place, Universal's Epic Universe, Harry Potter, Ministry of Magic attraction and photos deliver on concept art's promise. It's Disney in Trouble. This by Marvin Montanaro, November 19th, 2024. While in both Orlando and Anaheim, logjam waterways on Tiana's Bayou Adventure, Disney's biggest theme park competitor just dropped the mic with a set of stunning Epic Universe Harry Potter photos that actually deliver on their lofty promises. The new attraction, Harry Potter and the Battle for the Ministry, will be open along with the rest of Epic Universe on May 22nd. Fans got their first look inside the fabled Ministry of Magic from J.K. Rowling's fantasy classic novel series today. People Magazine released a set of stunning photos that showed the new area in all its glory. Here you go. Right here.
Look, that's the ride vehicle, for God's sakes. Does that look like fine furniture? Or a ride vehicle that people are going to sit in all day long, every day, thousands of people? I mean, look at this. Yeah.
This is
anybody remodeling their kitchen looking for tile? How about tile like this?
It's so funny how you mentioned earlier, Lou, where they got the tile from. I was thinking the same thing when I first saw these photos, is where do they get that tile from?
That's right, everybody. Go to your local Walmart and you can make your bathroom look like the Battle for the Ministry in stores now.
Yeah, people will do that. There's some that they deck out their homes like that.
But it's the lighting of it. It's the contrast and the shading.
Look at the beauty of this.
You're not
the way
going to
it
find
glows. It has a glow from inside that just keep going.
This is an animatronic Higgledy that will be in the queue right there. Very, very cool. You can see how closely it actually matches the concept art that Universal delivered just a few months ago. And the actual photos from inside, you can see just the amazing amount of details. This is an actual queue, folks. This is an actual physical location within Epic Universe. One ride within one of the 5 lands that will be available in this theme park, opening, just a stone's throw away from Walt Disney World. You can see right here the amazing amount of detail. We're coming up on a shot right here that's one of my absolute favorites right here. That's quality. That right there is game changing. And that's just the queue.
And just compare it to the blank spaces between the animatronics in Tiana.
And I love how you brought that up, Luke, because that's exactly where I was going to go with this.
Would you rather sit in that or in those beautiful leather and wood and gold conveyances?
They didn't even opt to replace the Brer Rabbit ornamentation at the front of these logs right here. They just chopped it off, and that's how it went. If you see the interiors of Tiana's Bayou Adventure, the actual attraction itself, you can just see right here, little effort was poured into this attraction that was replacing, a attraction from 1989. Conceivably, they could have added to this and made it even more rich than it was before.
Let me ask a to me obvious question. If this thing looked like what we just saw at Universal, would you care if the log flumes shut down once in a while, or would you just love to be stuck in there so you could admire the scenery for longer?
Yeah, exactly.
Point, right?
That's a really
I see those photos.
And
I'm just waiting to see the throwdown between Dumbledore and Voldemort. Like, it looks amazing.
Dumbledore and Voldemort and little Tiles eat Ivy and
Bob,
Harry Potter. Anyway,
we've talked about it, Bob.
Oh gosh, I hate this part.
You do have Tiana's Bayou Adventure defenders, right? They say, "Oh, this is a great attraction. This is a great ride. This is a great this. This is a great that. This is quality." No. That right there is quality. That is the game changer. That is something we're settling.
Show the one of the
for.
files, Vash. They show you one of just the files from Uxbridge's. Yeah, there's the file cabinet. But there's one that's a close up.
Thought, can people go up there? I mean, obviously, I know the public can't, but just in general terms, can you walk up there? Are there maintenance people that walk up there and clean?
Well, somebody would have to dust it. Yeah.
Apparently, this actually might be from in the attraction itself. Somebody was looking at the actual concept art of the attraction interior and comparing what they can see in the background here. It's very dark,
but there was one of a pile of what would be Manila, but they're not folders on a desk of some kind.
Let me see here. Let me see if I can find it. But
but meanwhile, I'm seeing that
absolutely stunning.
We're sending you off on a high note, but Erica and Bob have got to Vamoose apparently, which is a shame. There.
I see.
Now go to the one after that.
Okay, let me see here. No, I don't want a subscription to People magazine.
You don't?
Let me see.
No, keep going. There is one that shows them all just piled up on a desk.
Let me see. I'm looking, Lou.
No, that's all outside again. But this is these 12 pictures that they put out, or 13 pictures.
Right.
I don't think I saw that one either with the file.
Oh, well. Yeah, with just a bunch of the files with the M logo on them piled up on a desk.
Were they they look like invitations, like envelopes?
Well, they look kind of purple. Oh, that's People. Okay, that's not what I saw it on, so maybe they didn't include that one. But anyway, the point is they were just plain what would be Manila file folders to anybody else. Even with the logo on, you'd know it was part of the Ministry of Magic. But these were made out of some kind of sort of textured magenta paper that had a glow to it. And I thought, that's a minor piece of the puzzle, but they tried.
Well,
it's really,
I mean, granted,
is.
This is a new attraction, a new ride area compared to, Tiana's. Tiana's more of a overlay.
Well, yeah, but
splash, but still,
I guess back when we were talking about J.K. Rowling, if you know the core values and it's not going to get changed by the next executive who gets the job that week, because it can't be, you specialize in how can I enhance it? How can I bring something to it that makes it even better? If you're okay, I think it was one after this. I could be wrong.
I found it.
You got it?
I got it in the chat, photo 7.
Gotcha. Okay. Let me bring this up real fast. Sorry, guys. Do apologize. Doing it on the fly.
We'll do it live.
Ooh, The Office. That's cool. Yes,
there.
Right there.
Yeah.
There. Now, just tell me what anybody else would do. Would they make it that beautiful? Would they give it that texture? Would they give it that otherworldly, it's something magic and special, or would they just pile up a bunch of papers and call it a day?
Yeah,
it's as important to this illusion as all those old tickets and maps and things are in the office at the Jungle Cruise, that you walk by in the queue.
Absolutely.
Or the stuff at Kilimanjaro at the Yeti ride, where you see all that stuff that they collected. It just, there's a texture here. There's a verisimilitude, I guess is the word.
Yes.
Ooh,
anyway,
I want to pick up this conversation, but obviously I want to go ahead and make sure our panelists are taken care of right here. We went over this before there, but Bob, we can find you at Barry Place 28 on YouTube. Let me go ahead and put that in the chat right there. Do you have any notable streams coming up?
Again, hopefully I'll be at.
They're all notable streams.
Thank you. I'm hoping to be at Knott's Merry Farm tomorrow. For sure, I will be at Disneyland on Saturday and again on Monday. So come hang out with me. It's been a couple weeks since I've been in the park. I've been kind of antsy to get out of the house here. So I'd love to have you guys come join me. And thank you so much for having me on the show today. And you think it's like 1 a.m. in the morning or something because Erica looks tired.
Yeah.
Well,
I gotta be up at 6.
It's about that time there.
Yeah.
Erica, where can people find you?
You can find us at Erica-Raff, hanging with Erica and Raff. We are just expats living in Germany. We're early empty nesters. We're just throwing spaghetti at the wall at the channel. We haven't really found a niche, but for now, we're just documenting some of the stuff that we do out here. So Halloween was a big season. I've got Halloween videos up of our decorations, our DIYs.
Cool.
I made a bride animatronic. Yes, I did do that. Check out that video. And I've got some Christmas videos coming down the pipeline since Christmas is so big here in Germany. And I just loaded 2 videos last week and I forgot what they are because I'm tired.
Don't even worry about it.
ABB. It's just like
You're
that.
good to go. Let's see. Videos right here. 3 days ago. There you go. Magic candles. Holiday
Oh
songs.
yeah, that. And then my recipe. I'm going to do some holiday recipes. So I did one of our family recipe of bed need, which is a Cuban Puerto Rican roast pork.
Ooh, that's so good. That is so
Delicious.
good.
Well, you can find this and more at Hanging with Erica and Raph right there. The link is going to be in the chat right now. It'll always be in the description going forward. Also, too, you can find Bob at Bear Place 28. Using Bear Place 28, you can find him just about anywhere: Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, YouTube. Everywhere.
Wherever there is danger, you will find him.
Absolutely.
Wherever there's
There are
adventure,
bears.
he'll be there.
Yeah. We haven't started
one
live
amigo.
streaming. I don't know where to begin on that, but as far as live streaming goes, you can find me usually hopping around here or WDW Pro or on Lorena's channel. I'm usually on her Spice Lounge or her Saturday Resort Recon live streams.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much, guys, for joining us and for staying as long as you have. I do apologize. I thought,
you're fine.
you know, I very much apologize. I wasn't trying to escort
Won't be
you
the
off.
first time. You're good.
All right.
Well, thank you guys. Thank you guys for joining us
Right,
this
bye.
week.
See you guys.
We'll connect
Bye,
with you
everyone.
next week.
Chat. Bye, Lou. Bye, Nolan.
Thanks,
Bye,
guys.
Vash.
Thank you.
Adios.
Have a great night.
Adios. Alrighty. So
And then
getting
there
back
were
to this
3.
story right here, the angle that I wanted to showcase as part of these amazing Harry Potter photos, and you saw the quality of them, you saw the detail, the richness. It's amazing.
That glow that those tiles have is just...
It's so good. It's so amazing. The thing I wanted to highlight was these ride vehicles right here. Now, these ride
Yeah.
vehicles look absolutely incredible, but a couple things here. One, we have seatbelt restraints. Now, that's
Yes.
interesting. Universal doesn't usually do that. And Harry Potter attractions in the past have been historically very restrictive. Forbidden Journey probably being the most restrictive attraction of any theme park, whether it be from Disney or Universal. And now you have something that looks to be very accessible, which is great because this is going to be a premier attraction, not just for this land, but for this entire park. Kind of see right here, Forbidden Journey ride vehicles are, the end of a Kuka arm, so they want you to be locked in there nice and tight, as one could probably imagine. But to have something with seatbelts, that's interesting. Universal doesn't usually do seatbelts at any of their attractions. They usually do lap bars in order to
And
increase capacity
also
throughput.
the visual frailty, although it isn't really, of those armrests and the way they go all the way down to let you fasten the belt, putting your butt pretty tightly into that seat, is pretty interesting to me. And also, do they tilt within the car? Because look at that yellow gold support behind that front seat in that back row, in the not the back row, but the front row, but see what I'm saying?
Oh,
It's
yeah. Is that a
interesting.
shadow
It
or a
almost
groove?
that almost looks like a pneumatic something. I don't know. We'll find out, all of us, someday.
We'll find out. People were also noticing these M logos up here. These aren't cameras. These are something
Speakers?
else. They're not speakers.
I'm thinking strobes, because I think the speakers would be behind that bigger grill in the middle and under
Right.
the seats. Under the seats, you can see several of them.
Some people are saying sense.
Ah, that
Ooh.
could be.
Oh no, we're going all Spy Kids 4D in this thing. Oh no.
Well, you have to immerse the guest, Nolan, in as much immersion as you can
I
possibly
don't need
provide.
to know
so-
what Hagrid smells like though.
You do, Nolan. You just don't know that you do. It's beautiful. Come on. I will say this. I'll end this with this last tweet here from Fresh Baked. If you know Fresh Baked's content, you know we use terms loosely here, but he's definitely a Disney fan. I'll put it that way. Very hardcore Disney fan. He says this: I've been contemplating just what it is about Epic and these images that Disney should consider a threat. Up until now, it's been the idea of Epic that was a threat, that its mere existence and what we had seen of concept art and building in progress that looked impressive was the threat. Epic was simply going to take some market share from a pure numbers perspective. But the real threat, in my opinion, is that guests will see Epic, they will see these images that we've been seeing here on screen, and decide Universal is now the standard, and choose it first, Walt Disney World second. These images cannot be denied. They are superior to the already high standards that Disney has set over the years, not over the last recent years. This is the new standard from design and creativity. The question for me is, does Disney want to be second best? I don't necessarily need to see Disney catch up with respect to more rides, more capacity, etc., but I do think that they need to get back to making what they do, and that's build, make really good shows, because that's a really good show.
I will amend that to say they need to get back to doing it for themselves, regardless of what it costs, as opposed to only when the Japanese are willing to pony up to pay for it.
Yeah.
There are
Yeah,
some
that's
things.
right.
There are some things in a different style, as beautiful as this in Fantasy Springs in Tokyo, but they're nothing like what we're getting here, or
Well
even
said.
in
I was
China.
actually been holding to say, like, where else in the world can you see something to this? That's this. It's unique. It's one in a kind. That compare that to Tiana that just came out. You can get, cheaply made dark rides, about any flimsy
sure.
theme park and stuff like that. This, like, there's nowhere unless you're going to like the things that literally probably inspired this. You're looking at like old school, like, I don't know, like German cathedrals or something like that. But even then, it's still not going to be on the same design. Like that tile, the curvature of everything, it's unique, beautiful. Like, where else can you go for it?
These are attractions in and of themselves. I mean, I think Universal really raised the bar, especially with combining their talents with J.K. Rowling and obviously Warner Brothers, bringing the original Hogsmeade to life back in 2010. With Diagon Alley a couple years later, raised the bar even further, and now the shortest structures within this section of Epic Universe are taller than the tallest sections in Diagon Alley. I think it's going to blow minds. And again, this is one ride in one land of 5. It's just going to be the world.
And
Disney's not
I'll
ready
tell
for
you
this.
something else on a purely thematic note.
Please.
I never was a Harry Potter person. I never read the books. It just was, a world to me. When they started talking about the Fantastic Beasts and them being part of this, I started to watch those movies. I watched about 1.5. They were okay. But good performances, mediocre storytelling, I thought. And that's probably why they didn't succeed the way they should have. But when you look at these pictures of what's going on here, if the story wasn't there to inspire it, they would be pretty pictures with overall impact. But when you have a story that is so beloved and so tight and so worked and so right, then all you can do is get better with how you present it. Back when they first started to talk about movies of Lord of the Rings, and that Ralph Bakshi movie came out, I hated it with such a passion, and I loved Lord of the Rings. But the reason I hated it was, I said, for most people, and shame on me for being an elitist, but it's true, I said, for most people with limited imaginations, when they say, what does an orc look like? What does a hobbit look like? What does it feel like in the Shire? They'll see this picture and that'll lock it in. And isn't that a damn shame that you don't get to participate with your own imagination? Well, in fact, in the movies, which are great, you still put your own imagination into the game. And same thing with this. And same thing with all of these artists putting their own personal take. Well, okay, we know it's the Ministry of Magic. We know what goes on there. We know what the story is. But meanwhile, what about for the daily grunts who just go in there and work 9 to 5 in the office? What does it look like? And then they go to this, and you think, whoa. And you're going to build it life-size, not pictures that we see through a grate in the wall. And you're going to put your guests through it, too. That's another level, guys. That's another level. And as artistically brilliant as these things are, without the core value of the story and the characters, it don't mean anything if you ain't got that swing. You know what I mean?
I
So,
agree
Well said.
wholeheartedly.
well, that's what I feel from this. Is it not only do they have a high bar to reach, they couldn't do any less. If this had been just good, it wouldn't have been good enough. It's got to be great. And when they expand into a new park with this same character set for the third time, it's got to be better than the other two. It just has to be. Or else, why bother?
I feel like I'm setting myself up for disappointment, but whoever is the one that greenlit this operation, I just want to hug them right now.
Well,
I think they
if
took a
they'll
big
get
swing.
you a free pass, maybe. But otherwise, wait till you've seen it.
They took a big swing with all of this, and I think they're going to be rewarded thusly. Interesting, because this kind of goes into our next story about Comcast, not from the theme park level, but actually from their linear TV business, and why maybe they made these changes. Maybe it's to perhaps invest more resources into theme parks going forward. It's an interesting idea, but well, we got to start us off here with the Hollywood Reporter.
I think I get the long-term prediction prize on this stuff. I really do.
Yes, you do.
I've been saying this for a year and a half now, that we're going to make all of that stuff go away.
So the Hollywood Reporter, back in November 6th, so this is right after election night, Nielsen ratings came out. And apparently for all the networks, not just those associated with Comcast, but Fox and CNN and everyone else, they have just dropped very, very sharply from their 2020 numbers. You can see they were 56.92 million viewers. They went to 42.29. Now, we noted at the time that, well, where did they go? And we thought that, yeah, they've been going to online sources. Sure enough, that's exactly where they went. Our reporter here, where did election night TV viewers disappear to? New data suggests that they flocked to YouTube. Apparently, YouTube is suggesting that they had more than 45 million people in the U.S. watch election-related content on Tuesday, November 5th. That's absolutely massive right there. And so, how did Comcast respond? Well, they did a survey, and apparently 1 in 5 Americans get their news from social media influencers. This published November 18th. And then looking at all of this, they said,
we just can't compete with that park place. We just can't keep up.
Absolutely. So they're cutting bait right here. Comcast to spin off cable networks as subscribers flee the bundle. This published Tuesday, November 19th. So you can see just how fast these things have materialized right here. Lillian Rizzo, but you know the name right there, Alex Sherman. Comcast is moving forward with the spinoff of its cable networks, which include CNBC, MSNBC, and E! The spinoff is expected to take place about a year. According to a company memo, Bravo is not part of the spinoff. Comcast President Mike Cavanaugh said during the company's quarterly earnings call in October that it was considering spinning off its cable networks. It's a really, really big story. Lou accurately predicted right here. These linear broadcast networks, well, they're not necessarily as valuable as they once were.
Not at all. And the reason is not that, they're left and Fox is right and all of that basic political, I'm team A and I'm team B competition. The reason, as you and I were watching earlier today, a clip of Bill O'Reilly, he said, because they're hateful, because they're so nasty and so angry and so willing to go to the lowest first. And people don't want that in their living room. They just don't. Even if they believe in the cause, they don't want that because they don't want to be identified with people like that.
Agreed. And it's also the level of entitlement too. Cause like when you watch, smaller, like small in quotation marks, it depends. Like, but when you watch, creators on like the social platforms, the video sharing platforms and such, they always take time, to be like, hey, thank you so much for helping support the channel. It means a lot. Here, let me do some stuff to give back, super chats, all that. Mind you, the news stations these days just have such a sense of we're right and we're going to tell you how to think. And I think that's just really bit their viewership. They don't feel like a friend to them. They feel like they're being talked down to and preached at every Sunday or Monday or Tuesday, whatever day.
I think that's part of it.
You don't have to be right or left to hate Karens. And when your media is full of Karens scolding you and telling you you're not worthy. I mean, I saw some headline. I love a site called Real Clear Politics, because they list headline stories from all over the political spectrum.
Yeah,
but when I see one that says Democrat pundits and sources blame voters for election, and I'm going, duh. Who are they supposed to blame? Like themselves because the voters didn't like them? I mean, guys, this idea that the audience is always right as long as they like me, and if they don't, they should burn in hell, is kind of a take it or leave it proposition,
Now, what's really interesting here, because I think both of you guys are exactly correct. I think there's more going on here than just a political divide. Obviously, people are moving away from traditional media outlets and moving on to transformative content like what you're seeing right now. YouTube, awesome stuff right there. That Park Place, everywhere else, independent media is absolutely growing. But I do think there's a little politics in there, as ABC News actually brought up. What will happen to CNBC and MSNBC when they no longer have a corporate connection to NBC News?
Yeah, that was their justification for being all opinion all the time was, but we've got the news from NBC.
Right.
What's interesting to me is how they're doing this also. If you currently own a share of Comcast, you're going to get exactly the same number of shares in this new thing that's going to spin this content off. That's how you're going to get your compensation.
Ah, I see. That's interesting.
That company, that spin-off company, which they're literally for the time being called spin-off or something like that, well, what'll happen to that stock compared to Comcast? That'll be the question. And the answer is, if all those people or half of them hate that content as much as they're saying they do, and they sell that stock, A, who's buying it? B, what's it worth? And let the market prevail,
I do agree. And I guess these entities will have to survive without those Comcast checks there. ABC News, MSNBC's staff and studios are based in the same Rockefeller Center offices as NBC News, and it's unclear on Wednesday whether they will remain or move elsewhere. Lazarus told MSNBC.
Yeah, because CNBC is in New Jersey across the way, has been since the beginning.
But NBC, Comcast owns those buildings, so it's like
right. Well, so what and when their contracts run out with NBC, but they've been doing mostly work for MSNBC. Will they say to these people, great, go to MSNBC and ask them for a deal because we don't own that anymore and we're not interested. Thanks a lot. There was a lot of talk with this recent incident on The View, and still exists, that ABC might do the same thing with things like The View and spin off a small network and conveniently put all of these anchors that were fixing the debates and all the other people that were seen to be malefactors in the same boat and let them swim if they can. So
that's the interesting thing. We're gonna have to see what actually happens to those entities. I know Bob Iger was talking about possibly spinning off ABC as one of the first CNBC sit downs that he did when he came back. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens to these.
And he's a bean spiller, he can't help himself.
I can't help himself.
He did that and almost immediately turned it around. Well, I didn't mean tomorrow or the next day or the day after that. But what he meant was we've looked inside and seen what the numbers are, and it's not helping. It's only hurting. And the reason I originally said this
Mhm.
was because way back at the dawn of political time, i.e., when the so-called "Don't Say Gay" bill, which is not what it was, started the controversy going in Florida. Remember, they said they were going to stay out of it, and then they said, but our cast members insisted that we needed to take a stand. That's what Chapek said. He got talked out of staying neutral. Well, their cast members are the same people who are the cast members at MSNBC and CNBC. In other words, they're at the parks as employees. They're the same demographic, age, and political persuasion. They're the same people. And what Comcast told them was, go run the rides, would you? That's not your job. Bribe me with that you're an unhappy person. We got lots of people to take your job. If you don't like it here, go away. But we're not in that business. We're in the business of making everybody like us, not of making half the people like us, half the people hate us, and the other half confused on a given day. So Bill O'Reilly in this clip that we saw, that I don't know if you want to put a link in the chat or not, but he said they don't want to own all that anger and hate. They just don't at Comcast. Why? Because they're about joy. They're about pay your cable bill and get your ISP through us. Yeah, sure. But also come on down to Orlando or Las Vegas or Frisco, Texas or LA or China, and we'll be there to entertain you. If this makes people unhappy, then they can go to Disney, where they'll find what?
Right.
So
I'll put it in the chat right there because I don't know if we can get away with actually playing it. But if
no, I don't. I think we should just put the clip and let people find it if they'd like to.
It's in the chat right now.
If you go to look at that, watch the whole thing, because at the beginning, Bill's having his usual playtime with Chris Cuomo and the other guy, and sort of holding back what he's really going to say until it gets a little deeper. But once it does, he pulls no punches. So
he doesn't.
And he's right. He's just plain right in this case. He's not always right, but in this case, this is a guy who's been in the media 50 years. He kind of knows how the business side works, not just the show side. So
I want to read this one little excerpt right here because I think it's really fascinating. MSNBC's relationship with NBC News has caused some awkwardness, particularly as the network has become known for its stable of liberal commentators while still attached to a news division that stresses impartiality. For much of MSNBC's broadcasting day, NBC News journalists like Katie Tour, Jose Diaz-Balart, and Chris Jansing, and a host of reporters appear on the network. It's unclear whether arrangements could be made for that cross-pollination to continue. Where will Steve Kornacki land, for example, or if MSNBC will bear the expense of building out its own news-gathering operation or leaning more heavily into commentary. It's a nervous time for MSNBC for multiple reasons. The network has seen a dramatic drop in viewership since Donald Trump's election victory, although it is common that news networks that appeal primarily to one side of the political divide lose viewers when their candidates are defeated. It's a lot, though. MSNBC viewership drops
it's not necessarily rejecting them because they didn't somehow drag Kamala kicking and screaming over the finish line. Mm-hmm. It's saying we were interested in this issue as long as we had a dog in the race. Now we don't for a while. We're not as interested. We're going to go back to watching recipes and travel agents and stuff.
Right.
It shows how dangerous it is to link your entertainment to a political figure of any aisle, because the moment they either A, lose, or B, like a lot of politicians, do something stupid, your ratings are going to completely tank. And where do you go from there? Your audience isn't going to believe you anymore. It's
especially
kind of
when it hurts your own credibility, like it did with the debate fixing. Exactly. And the what was it on 60 Minutes? The editing of answers and replacing of answers to different questions. Right. Nobody likes to be lied to, and nobody likes to be cheated. I don't care what their politics. It's just not. We are a fair play country, in spite of what has happened over the years. I always remind people of the story. After the USA and some places in Central and South America, one of the biggest places in the world where baseball was a big sport was Japan. Well, in those days, everything about sports was in a thing called the Sporting News, which was an old tabloid newspaper that went back to the 18 somethings. And the day after Pearl Harbor, they published a front page editorial. And what it said was that Pearl Harbor proved the Japanese didn't understand baseball after all, because they didn't understand fair play. Not that they attacked, but that it was a sneak attack. Really got them angry, because they said Americans don't put up with cheaters and liars, and we never will. So here we come to kill you all. But and we did. I mean, that's what they said. Remember, this is December 8th, 1941, sure. Not later in the war. And we were losing rather substantially from the beginning. So, but that was the issue, was how you treated that told what kind of a baseball player you might be. And you guys are the cheating kind. We don't want anything to do with you.
Well,
it's fascinating, isn't it? But that was
it is.
It was accurate. It was descriptive of what they considered to be the American character. That we might make mistakes and we might get in wars and we might, but we were open about it. We were upfront about it. We didn't play this sneakeroo game.
Sure.
So anyway,
speaking of the naval stuff and what happens out at sea, at various places, especially at islands, well, it kind of segues into this next story. Well,
I knew you would.
Segue. But it's rare. It's really rare, guys, that we get to call out Disney for something that actually did good, genuinely a good thing. We like to call balls and strikes here at that Park Place Network. I think this is one of the.
They lowered their prices.
Heck no, Nolan, come on, they're not that good.
I think you should call Rob Reiner and ask him where that place is he checked into, because if you think that's going to happen at Disney, you're a candidate for the cure. Anyway,
no, but they did. This was a genuinely good thing. I like to go ahead and I want to highlight this story. All the Bradley's Fun knows where I'm going with this. Right here, CBS News. Brand new Disney Cruise Line ship, the Treasure, rescues 4 from stranded catamaran.
Now remember, they're going from Europe, where the boat was built, to Florida to be on their maiden voyage, big hoopla, great PR. But in the meanwhile, they come across these people that got stuck, and they saved them. So they were the first passengers on the ship, technically, not the paying passengers.
That's true. That is true. A Disney Cruise Line ship, the Disney Treasure, rescued 4 people from a catamaran that was taken on water some 265 miles off Bermuda Sunday, according to the U.S. Coast Guard Air Station Elizabeth City. Coast Guard says it coordinated with the cruise ship, which was the closest vessel to the 50-foot catamaran, and the Treasure launched a lifeboat and got all 4 people off the Serenity. The Treasure hasn't even gone its maiden voyage just yet. Yes, it doesn't until December. Disney Cruise Line spokesperson said in a statement to CBS News, the Treasure was heading from the Netherlands to its new home port in Port Canaveral, Florida, which Lou brilliantly pointed out right there. When it diverted to the catamaran at around 11:40 a.m., it arrived at 1 p.m. and rescued the 4 people on board. Quote, "We are pleased that the Disney Treasure was able to provide aid to the boat passengers in peril. Our crew members worked together on the rescue, skillfully demonstrating their training and commitment to safety." Yes.
Great, because believe it or not, folks, this is not as unusual as you might think. And I speak from personal experience. When I was a kid, my folks bought a cruise for the 4 of us on a thing called the Princess Italia, the very first Princess cruise boat, and up to Alaska out of Seattle. And on our way back to Seattle from Alaska, it was pretty raging seas up there in Puget Sound. And all of a sudden, we started circling for about 4 hours because there was a big fishing boat that had capsized, and they weren't sure if they needed our help or their other 2 fishing boats could help them. So it happens. If you're the one in the area, the sea says you help. And good for them. Good for them.
Absolutely. I think this is an incredible story. I think they did an incredible job right here. I believe we have more information on the ABC News article right here. Disney cruise ship rescues 4 people off sinking catamaran in Bermuda. If we scroll down right here, the passengers were a family of 4, a married couple and their daughter and a cousin, who were between the ages of 25 to 74, according to the U.S. Coast Guard Lieutenant Commander Mike Raunch. They were
Roush,
really
I think it
way
is.
out there.
There's no
Roush. Sorry.
Runch would be something else. But,
Gotcha.
The Runch would be more about the Navy than the Coast Guard. Well,
that's a range.
Well, if the married couple were in their late 60s, early 70s, and the other people were,
True. Anyway. I'm just like, that could be a lot of ages.
It could be. It's
enough age to be in the middle of the ocean with nobody else to help, so I'm glad they got help.
They were really way out there to sea, and they were in distress, and they were really having trouble trying to keep the water from coming in. Roush said, you can kind of see a photo of what we're looking at right here. Roush said it could have been a dire situation, and said that they were very fortunate the cruise ship was able to come to their rescue. We're grateful to change the course. So that's pretty amazing story, pretty amazing stuff. They did have a kind of ceremony in New York City, if I'm not mistaken. I'll go ahead and I'll play this. I can't play the music with it, but I can play the actual show itself with a drone show. And I gotta be honest, this drone show is
a treasure.
Awesome. Yes.
Have you guys ever seen the drone shows that Disney does in person? They are phenomenal.
Well, unfortunately, I haven't seen them at the parks because you really can't. A few areas in Walt Disney World you can, but light restrictions keep these from being widespread there.
Sorry about that.
Oh, very good.
I got the sneezes.
The most impressive part about this
show was not to celebrate saving the 4 people. It was to introduce the ship to the press in New York City, to the travel press.
I'll tell you though, if the boat starts its legacy off as saving those people like a hero, like what better way can you start?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Madame Leota, very, very cool. Got that. And I believe it transforms into...
And this is the one that has the Haunted Mansion bar on it, isn't it? Or is that another?
Yes, the Haunted Mansion parlor, which we'll go over in just a second. The Hitchhiking Ghosts. So cool with moving arms. Awesome stuff. This was a really nice way to send this ship off here to its maiden voyage in Florida. And just beautiful, beautiful stuff. Yes, you are right about that, Lou. They did have the parlor, which we do have some B-roll for that as well, right here.
Oh, wow.
This is inside the ship. They do this stuff really, really well. Like, all of this is fantastic. By the way, guys, we could have had a Haunted Mansion hotel, but we got the Galactic Star Cruiser instead. Just saying. This stuff is super cool. They do a fine job on this. I wish it was, actually in a theme park, and I wish it wasn't a bar setting. I wish it was a little bit more family orientated. But, well, there you go.
It's incredible, dude.
Absolutely. They got the
I'm just an
chair.
absolute sucker for this kind of aesthetic and stuff like that. I will vouch that one of my all-time favorite Disney things ever is still Tower of Terror, which has the haunted hotel vibe to it. And just something like this is like, I wouldn't mind having this in my own house. This is just top tier Disney right here.
Absolutely. Do more stuff like this. This is good. This is all very, very good.
A friend of mine has this in their house, Nolan. She redid her husband's office in their house in Valencia, California, to look like the Haunted Mansion, and it's astounding.
Seriously?
Truly astounding. Yeah.
This is the Periscope Lounge. 20,000 to see thing.
Goodness. I really hope after they rescued those people, when they're trying to help them dry off and stuff, they're like, here, just chill in this room for a little bit. You'll feel better. We promise.
Yes. Yeah.
Especially if they had the
old submarine thing. Oh, wow.
If they had the ship, in the Adventurers Club, they had a ship in a bottle that sank on the mantle of the fireplace in the big room. So that was kind of cute.
So Disney can do quality. And they can do good things. They're just not doing them in the parks, which is most unfortunate. In the parks,
well, they're not doing them in the parks, not starting with Japan.
Yes, that's true. That's a fair point. That's a good point. All this stuff is really good. We saw some more B-roll footage of some of the passenger spaces and so forth. Very similar to the Wish in some aspects, but there are some various changes as we go along right here. I think the cruise line is the strongest Disney product that exists right now. Unfortunately, it's very high cost, and I don't think that neither the Treasure or the Wish construction wise is as strong as maybe their earlier cruise ships. However, the appointments, well, they speak for themselves.
I don't know anything about the comparative construction, except I've heard this newer generation has a lot of dead ends in the floor plan.
Yes,
stuff.
yeah. That's kind of what I'm talking about right there. I don't think they're laid out as well as maybe their earlier ships. But this is the most expensive suite right here.
Is this the one in the funnel?
Yes, it's the one in the funnel.
Yeah,
for the Treasure.
Right.
Odd placement, I will say, and it's unbelievable.
If you don't need all of them, but then you need them to make the ship look good, what the heck? What are you going to use that space for?
I suppose
that you can generate revenue with.
I'll leave with this little interview right here. I didn't have it in time for the actual show. If you're seeing this on a clip, I'm going to do a supercut of all the times that Bob Iger actually says story in this specific clip. It's crazy.
If you're in the bar and he says
times.
Story, drink it.
Yes,
it's a drinking game.
So we'll end this specific clip on a supercut of that. I think that's going to be really funny. It's so
what
weird.
A beautiful shot. Sorry to derail, but I just have to say that is an absolutely gorgeous shot. Props to the cameraman here. This is an end of movie shot right here.
That's true. That's true. I feel similarly.
Well,
very interesting.
With different buildings, that's the first my grandparents saw of America.
Oh, wow. Yeah. That's true. So great. Ellis
deal.
Island, all that history. Really, really fantastic stuff right there. So Disney Treasure, I think that's a bona fide win right there. And that's good stuff. We have at least one more story. Yeah, I know, right? Well, it's going to be very expensive. No one. I'll just put it out there. I'll just put it that way.
More or less than the Premier Pass.
Much more than the Premier Pass, I'll say.
Yeah,
it depends on how many days you
buffet at midnight will be longer too.
Yes, yeah. Depends how many days are involved. Let me see here. I can't find. Where's my next story? Sorry, guys. Do apologize. Let's see here. I had. Oh yes, here we go. So, IAPA is taking place right now. That's the what is it? It's like the Industry Proprietors Amusement. Actually,
it's the travel agent convention.
Well,
not agents,
kinda.
but
it's the International Association of Amusement Parks and Attractions.
Right.
That conference is taking place this week. Yes, travel agents are definitely involved for sure, but you've got like amusement proprietors and so forth. You got representation from Disney, Universal usually, but also from the range of people like from Six Flags, SeaWorld, everything like that. They recently had their Themed Entertainment Association Awards, and well, guess what? Who won the classic? Well, The Amazing Adventures of Spider-Man at Universal Islands of Adventure to receive the Thea Classic Award. That's from the Themed Entertainment Association right there.
Will Spider-Man himself be accepting the reward in person?
No, they're sending the robot from Disneyland.
Yeah, they're sending the screen cap of Tom Holland from the Disneyland version. This is still the superior Spider-Man attraction, by the way. We've had Spider-Man attractions.
It's a great ride.
After this,
it's a great ride.
So good. I was
fully lived up to my expectations. I have to say
Absolutely.
that.
Yep.
It is one of the best rides experiences I've ever had. And can I say, it's just so refreshing to see a ride that came from the 90s, actually being celebrated as a historic landmark that everyone connects with, as opposed to, well, this was made sometime after the 60s or the 70s. Better get rid of it. Splash Mountain.
Yes, I know. It's so weird how that continues to happen.
Maybe if
amazing...
they changed Tiana's outfit to a skin-tight green leotard and given her the power to unclog logs or something.
Could have been a much more thrilling adventure. The Amazing Adventures of Spider-Man at Universal's Islands of Adventure, one of the most iconic rides in the theme park history, yes, for sure, will be honored with a Themed Entertainment Association Thea Award in 2025. But here's the thing about this. Disney wasn't left out completely from the Themed Entertainment Association.
Did they go
Awards
take a
right
ride
here.
on it too?
Well, they actually won a couple awards from some interesting places. Here we go. Disney projects that earned Thea Awards for Outstanding Achievement were the BDX droids of Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, the Fantasy Springs at Tokyo Disney Sea. Again, that's more Tokyo than it is Disney. And Zootopia at Shanghai Disneyland, that being IAPA Expo. Walt Disney Imagineering has been recognized with 3 Themed Entertainment Association Awards for 2025. Outstanding Achievement, Theme Park Land Fantasy Springs at Tokyo Disney Sea, Zootopia at Shanghai Disneyland, and Outstanding Achievement in Technology Innovation, that being the BDX droids. Now, here's my thing on all of this. For people that are visiting their domestic parks, this kind of means almost nothing. Because the BDX droids, they really only come out at Disneyland's version, and very infrequently, if at all. I don't even know if they do still come out to this day. And
I was about to ask, like, am I dumb? Because I don't remember these things at all.
Yeah,
those are not mutually exclusive statements, Nolan.
This comes right in there. Lou, you're so good.
You're not invited to the birthday party, Lou.
So
not even if I bring cake.
Okay, we'll work on the details. We'll debate that a little bit.
All right. Okay.
Okay. Cake changes things.
Ice cream.
Now
cake.
Disney has. It's true. Disney's touted these BDX droids as like.
Why does the one on the left have a long extension on its front middle?
That's a shadow.
Okay. That's a curious picture. And I'm no more curious than I was before I saw it.
This
so
show's gone blue real quick.
I'm on it. What do you expect?
We've seen Disney tout these things over and over again. I'll say this: the hollow tile floor or whatever. I mean, it is impressive. I'm not going to say it's not, but I just wonder about the theme park application for these things. These look great, but they're in the park so infrequently. You really can't book a trip just for them because you really don't know if you'll even see them. Hong Kong, that doesn't do anything for us domestically, and then Fantasy Springs looks great, but again, it's in Japan. So it's just very interesting how Disney has invested so much money into these parks overseas, and yet, in this recent quarter earnings, they have year over year, they've declined 32% in the international parks segment, which is devastating, and that actually kept the entire segment down, division that is, the experiences division, minus 6% year over year from operating income. I just wonder why Disney they've invested so heavily into the international parks, and yet we just get nothing year over year for these domestic parks. We talked about Tiana and how that's really the only thing that we're getting domestically for years on end. Epic Universe is going to eat their lunch for a couple of years. I don't think this I think the Entertainment Association Awards, inspire a lot of confidence in Disney's future. What do you guys have to say about that?
Well, but wait. Inspire confidence in their future in who? People in the biz or stockholders? People in the biz or market prognosticators? Because I don't think the latter gives a damn about these awards. It may be one thing to say, hey, our revenue is off 20%, our attendance is off 15%, but we won this neat award for the little robots you can't see except 12 days a year. Who cares? The bottom line is the bottom line.
Yes. The bottom line is that people, I think, are kind of understanding the valuation of these theme parks without more investment coming in and looking the other way. Go ahead, Nolan.
I would like to give some pushback, actually. I think you
Please.
should give recognition where it's due, even if the rest of the park is on fire. If, like, say, I don't know, for whatever reason, Six Flags is burning to the ground as we speak, in that case, you better call a fireman. Second point to make, though, is if they have a awesome new Batman ride and the rest of the part sucks, I do think it still deserves credit for if it's trying to land in a certain category. Look at these robots here, for example. Like, I think this shows, like, I'm sure a lot of people over time has thought, like, we're too hard on, like, Galaxy's Edge or Disney, It's like, sometimes they're saying, oh, it's too different. Oh, sometimes it's too much like the past. Like, where's the happy medium? I think these robots are actually, they scream classic Disney to me. They feel like creative things they would have come up with around, like, the Star Tours era and stuff. And I believe if it's something memorable, it does deserve recognition. However, I do think there does need to be a caveat there of how often are you seeing these attractions as a park goer? Because, yeah, it could be the best thing since sliced bread. But if you're only seeing it like one day out of the whole month, it's really not as extravagant as what it could be. I mean, take like Top Thrill 2 at Cedar Point. That thing could be the best ride in the world, but it was open for like, what, a week or two and it broke? So I do think there is a very important spot in recognition in these awards. Maybe I'm just assuming the best because anything but the Oscars, the Game Awards these days just seems like heaven in comparison. But I wish that it could reflect more of what we're seeing overall with the brand. And I feel like these little awards aren't helping as much for their image as what they would like, if that makes sense.
Well, and the question is, if those were the greatest little robots ever invented in the history of theme parks, the association can certainly award them. The question is, did they draw somebody in who paid for a ticket?
Yeah, that's the point right there. That's it.
And if they didn't, then swell. Thank you for your research and your work. And how are we going to pay you this month?
Yeah. Do they move the needle?
Yeah. In big ways. Does whatever the investment is in these three little robots move the needle in a way much bigger than it costs? You never know till you get it finished because you never know what it's going to cost. But at the same time, I don't think these awards from this organization are particularly relevant to the financials of the companies. They just aren't. And I guarantee you, nobody is buying a ticket to get into Islands Adventure just to go see that Spider-Man ride, as good as it is. When they walk by and they see a sign saying this has been designated as, they'll say, oh, that sounds like fun. Let's get in line and watch it. But it didn't get them in the door. Whereas when Islands first opened, that ride did. That and the Hulk are what got you in there. And Harry Potter, of course. But anyway.
I would, to politely push back again here a little bit, Lou. I would say Spider-Man has gotten to the point now where I think that's probably one of the more iconic rides in America. I remember when I was young, I used to see on a lot of these like travel shows and stuff like that. They'd be advertising, the Spider-Man ride, how it would catch you. I would argue that it is one of the top draws of Universal to try to get in the park. Is it the top one? No. We got Epic Universe coming soon. We have Harry Potter in the past. But I do think when, the families are, on the computer or whatever, trying to determine like, hey, where are we going to do our big family trip at when they're weighing the pros and cons of Universal versus Disney, I would say I think Spider-Man is a pretty big draw, especially with how he's been one of the few ones out of the recent Marvel movies who continues to find success despite everything.
I think it has been. I doubt that it will remain so or that it still is. That's all. I
get that. I understand. So
I'm not knocking it. It's a great, 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 great ride. In fact, it was my main reason for wanting to go to Islands, especially because I'm not a Harry Potter person and I'm not a Jurassic Park person. But having gone, when they started advertising that Mythos as the greatest restaurant in a theme park, and it's never been and it never will be. It's a B, maybe, and it's too damn noisy. And I will take several restaurants at World Showcase over that. So, or for that matter, Citricos or or certainly flying fish. And speaking of magic bars, that Abracadabra bar over there at the boardwalk is a lot of fun too. So anyway.
I got one more story for you from IAPA here. This is very interesting. So obviously this is a conference in which they showcase all kinds of stuff from all the proprietors, not just Disney and Universal, but just everywhere, SeaWorld, everything else. Again, the International Association of Amusement Parks and Attractions. You see right here, this is kind of cool. You know, Disney talks about, hey, only we can do this kind of thing. Well, maybe not. New attraction coming to SeaWorld in the spring of 2025, a new flying theater attraction. You can see the concept right there. Wow. Looks pretty ambitious, that's for sure. Definitely stepping up their game over there at SeaWorld. You can see right here, I guess for Circus Vegas, they have, Mr. Crab, audio animatronic. You can see a little bit of him.
Kind of reminds me of the Mr. Potato Head thing.
Yes.
But yeah.
Yes. Definitely give me those vibes for sure. It doesn't move maybe as smoothly as some of those Disney animatronics, but you can see that certain theme park proprietors are upping the game right here.
It's not creepy though. I think that's a perk with it. You know, I'm sure it's done cheaper than the others. You know, you're not going to. I would hope.
Right.
I would hope you're not paying the big bucks. You know, for like, is this Six Flags or SeaWorld, Vash? That's getting the SpongeBob.
No, this is going to be.
I see the Paramount logo over there on the left.
It's going to be a place in
getting
Vegas.
back into the theme park game?
I don't know.
It will be a
Circus
Sally
Vegas.
Dark ride. At SpongeBob's Crazy Carnival ride. Pretty crazy stuff. It's like a standalone attraction. Very interesting. We'll have to see what more comes from that. But the story I want to talk about here is very interesting. This kind of took everybody by surprise. At IAPA Expo, Vedanta World's Bonn Luxury Theme Park was unveiled. We're proud to be part of this groundbreaking project with MacRides.com, I believe, delivering one of the park's signature rides, the inverted powered coaster Delia's Adventure, and more attractions, a new era for Mexico. This is going to be a luxury theme park, is what they're talking here. And when you see some of the theming, I mean, it looks real good. Like,
where
really,
is this
really
in
good.
Mexico? What city
let me
is
see
this?
here. Actually, the press release. Oh, yep, here we go.
It's in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. I probably horribly butchered that. Sorry. To
You
anyone
certainly
who's
did.
Spanish.
Puerto Vallarta.
Thank you.
Puerto Vallarta.
But it looks amazing.
See, I've been
It does.
on the original Puerto Vallarta ride. Let me tell you, Puerto Vallarta is a lovely place, and the central old town is entirely cobblestones. So when you come in from outside of that area, from the port or from the airport, every cab driver has the same joke. Just as you get to the cobbles, he goes, "Okay, senor, free massage time." And suddenly the car, which is going smoothly, goes because you're bouncing on the cobblestones. But a great place, Puerto Vallarta. Great place.
Absolutely.
And frequent cruise ship stops, so that'll be interesting too.
That's a good point, Lou. I never considered that, but yeah, it obviously you're talking about a destination that gets healthy attendance because, well, why would you build a luxury theme park without it? But this is I think this is a really interesting product. I had no idea this was actually occurring. You can see some of the theming and so forth, the different concepts for dark rides and everything else. Here's from the Insider Travel Report. Grupo Vedanta. Sorry, you got to give me a little bit of slack on these.
We're trying, people.
Right,
We're really trying right now.
Yeah, a leader in luxury hospitality in Latin America, and
You gringos,
Vedanta
I
World,
tell you. Anyway,
a brand offering luxury resorts, cutting-edge entertainment, immersive experiences, and global mega yacht voyages. To your point, Lou, announced plans for Vedanta World's. Thank you so much for that. Bond's luxury theme park, created in collaboration with partners including Cirque du Soleil Entertainment Group, Vekoma Rides, which provide a lot of the coasters for Disney, Mac Rides, providing coasters for Epic Universe, and PNP Projects. Vedanta World Bond, an acronym for Beauty of Nature, is being described. Why are you doing this to me? As the world's first luxury theme park, combining adventure, entertainment, and elevated amenities designed for all generations, set amongst a rich, lush Mexican landscape located on more than 150 acres at Vedanta World Nuevo Vallarta, or Vallarta, Vedanta World's Bond Luxury. But Vallarta, right?
Vallarta. Yeah.
Vallarta, yeah. Vedanta World's Bonn Luxury Theme Park will offer 23 attractions, 25 world-class restaurants and lounges, 16 retail shops and kiosks, and luxury resort hotels, including the recently opened Vedanta World's Bonn's Park Hotel. So this just took me by surprise. I'm going to go ahead and include some images here on screen so you can actually see those as much as possible anyway from this theme park, because it is just wild and crazy.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about a luxury theme park?
Looks good. I don't know what makes it luxury. I'm thinking it's the price.
I'm thinking it's a price too.
Because hotels there are very abundant and some are very nice. I was down there on a fam tour, as they call it, at a place that's a big chain in Mexico called Fiesta Americana. But the particular one in Puerto Vallarta, which was lovely, beautiful, they told me the backstory, which was that these two brothers who were in the pot smuggling business had built the hotel as a tax dodge. And when they finally got busted and the government took it away from them and then gave this Fiesta Americana the management contract, so that everybody in Puerto Vallarta calls it the Fiesta Marijuana. I mean, I would get in a cab and say Fiesta Marijuana, and they say, "Sí, senor." They know exactly where you meant. But they had a beach, and it was lovely. And I don't know if they did that for everybody except us travel writing tourists. But I still have the little sign. They painted a custom sign and hung it on your door before you got there, and it said the casa and your last name after it. So that was kind of fun. But well,
it is so
it's,
crazy.
a lot of countries, I think, if they say luxury a lot, it'll be true, and this could be one. On the other hand, the fact that they're teamed up with Cirque du Soleil is impressive, I think.
Yeah, apparently we're going to have a 360-degree theater type attraction here. They're obviously partnering up with Mack Rides, Vekoma, big players in the industry. We also saw a couple of coaster vehicles and so forth that they showcased at this.
Well, what you said about 360, I bet that circle in the lower left is the water stage for Cirque. But I don't know. Anyway, yeah, I'd go. Invite me.
I mean, it looks awesome. I mean, the concept art looks so good. It's
a very nice town, or at least it was when I was there many years ago. Puerto Vallarta, very nice town.
Yeah.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't this supposed to open in like 2026? So it's not too far off.
Yes, 2026 is what they're giving it. So I'm guessing some of this stuff is past development stage. It might actually be in the production stage. I mean, I guess they would have to be in order to meet that deadline right there. Work is undergoing as we speak on this whole thing. Like I said, Lou, I really want to know what luxury means in terms of pricing for this. I'm guessing, though, it might be economical, especially for people coming in from out of the country, especially if you're part of the Walt Disney World crowd that's spending, let's see, $11,800 and what was the number there? $888 for a family of four to stay at Walt Disney World for 4 days and get Lightning Lane Premier Pass. Hey, this park is likely going to be a bargain. So the theme park game's not slowing down at all. At least internationally. We did.
I'm looking at pictures, and I'm seeing lots of the pictures captioned as Cirque du Soleil theme park Puerto Vallarta. So they've obviously got more than just putting a show into it, but some kind of co-sponsorship deal with them.
Yeah, they in that press release I was just reading from, which I'm going to go ahead and put in the chat for everybody else to read, and the links in the description of this video as well. You can see like it's a big partnership. But please go ahead, Lou.
No, that's it. I just they've got a lot involved with it. That's all. And it seems like there's a lot of water park stuff involved too.
Yes.
So
absolutely. It's gonna be it's really going to be interesting to see what we see from this park. We've heard about park announcements before at IAAPA, and we're still waiting for some of those to raise out of the ground, let's say. But this one looks to be really well on its way. They're partnering with some really big players in this space. I'm incredibly fascinated by this because I think I had this wasn't on my radar at all. I had no contacts at creative houses that were doing work for this to give me the lowdown on this, but the renderings look awesome. If they can, build these things out, I think it'll be really, really cool for the entire industry. Well, that just about wraps up our show. I know, Nolan, you got to get out of here because you've got a show of your own to attend there on Tooney Talk TV. Where can the good people find you?
Well, you can find me on my YouTube channel at Nolan Thunder. I do little documentaries on video game mysteries and internet mysteries in general. It's a mix, it's a hybrid of like B-movie horror, comedy, and documentary style. There's old synthesizer music. There's props. There's effects. There's explosions. Literally, there are explosions in it if you watch it. Lost in the Files is my show. Check it out if you like it. And if you want to hear more of my opinions, you haven't gotten tired of hearing me run my trap all night, I'm going to be in a few minutes here over on Tooney Talk TV on Marvin the Movie Monsters YouTube channel. And in fact, I believe we're redirecting over there, are we?
Yes, we are. Sorry about that. We absolutely are. The redirect is absolutely set. Don't touch that dial, folks. You're going to be redirected to Tooney Town TV, where they're going to be talking about all kinds of interesting stuff, I'm sure. I can only guess what Marvin has in store, but I just know it's going to be a great show regardless, because you guys do a fantastic job over there. I got to make my way over there one day. I just haven't been able to, but it will happen. I promise. And let me go ahead and get Nolan Thunder's channel in the chat as well, where you can go ahead and subscribe to him.
By the way, I'm looking deeper, and apparently they first revealed artwork on this Mexican park in 2015.
Really?
They hope to open 1 million visitors. They hope they'll welcome 1 million visitors when its doors first open in 2018, and 3 or 4 years later when the second. So this thing has been cooking a long time, but I guess somebody will put up more money because anyway. And the truth be told, we're a little more excited about the Star Wars theme park opening. Playful acrobatics are fine, but you can't beat the Millennium Falcon. So this has been around for a while. Silly us for not knowing, but don't hold.
Silly us indeed.
Don't hold.
Hey, well,
but anyway,
when you have a big display at IAAPA with those big names, it definitely gets you on the radar right there.
Yeah.
Lou, you always got stuff going on. Hollywood Backlog with Lou and you every single
and we're gonna, what we're gonna concentrate on this time, because I sent you a link to that book. We're going to be talking about the star system and how Hollywood very, very dedicatedly and meticulously and with much forethought created movie stars. And once in a while they goof, but mostly they did pretty darn well. And I found a wonderful book all about it that we'll be exploring. And we'll see what the difference is between a Hollywood manufactured star and one that just sort of happens. So that'll be the focus, I think. And of course, we'll add in our usual new segment, Lou's Hollywood Backlot Jukebox, where I pick a movie score that particularly impresses me and give you the links to listen to one. And then, of course, there's the good old genre guys, which we just had our new release on Pro's show of it was our ace in the hole because we all got sick or busy one weekend of Lauren's favorite Indiana Jones movie, which is Indian the Monkey Brains.
Lauren's favorite Indiana Jones is Temple of Doom?
Yeah.
Whoa.
So
You think he would have picked Kingdom of the Crystal Skull?
no. Anyway, you'll see why, and we'll argue with him, and it'll do no good as usual. No, I'm just kidding. So we have that just came out there, and I don't know which one are you putting up, next for those
Let me look it up
here?
right now. I know we just had what you're seeing on screen right now, the Battlefield Earth, where
Oh God.
Nolan Thunder and the guys from the Lost Guys teamed up with the genre guys. It was a big old show right there. Definitely worth checking out. It was awesome. I love listening to it. Nolan,
It was fun.
you rock right there. Lou, as always.
Thank you.
Next on this channel is going to be Local Hero. It's gonna be
Oh
Saturday.
yes. Oh yes. Oh yes. It's a
Mm.
cozy, wonderful, wonderful movie. And we've been finalizing our list for the next several. And I do know the next one we're going to do also on Sunday night, because Saturday Lauren is subjected to this slow torture for charity of watching,
Ugh,
that
Acolyte.
I was going to say the show that shall not be named. But we normally shoot them on Saturdays, but we're going to do it on Sunday. And so we have Get Shorty next in our repertoire. So we jump
That's
around,
great.
we jump around.
Sure.
And we've got, my God, the ones we've got Get Shorty. We're going to do Brannigan, which is the great John Wayne in London fish out of water movie. And then John Wayne again for In Harm's Way, because that's the 7th of December we're doing it. And it takes place starting with Pearl Harbor and going on from there. If you are a movie music fan, you can see the composer of the movie leading the band at the Admiral's Party the night before everything changed in Hawaii and around the world. We're going to do Gangs of New York. We're going to do Casablanca. We're going to do a movie I haven't seen that sounds real interesting from what I've seen of it, called The Ice Harvest. We're going to do Reign of Fire, which is a dragon picture, I guess. And for New Year's, well, surely you can't be joking, but we're going to do Airplane.
Nice.
Ooh.
And
I love
then,
it.
after that, we have much more. So,
Absolutely. Well, I
and
just
me and Hangry, and we get into it pretty deeply about movies that we love or that you might love, and you never know. So, one way or another, that magic music means my long day's journey into cinematic night is coming to an end.
yeah. Sorry, Lou.
That's
We only-
okay. That's okay.
You're a real trooper tonight. I really do.
Yes,
Appreciate
I
it.
thank you and my butt. Thanks
Your
you. I can
commentary
get
on all this has
out
been
of this
phenomenal.
chair.
yeah. Well, let's get you out of that chair. Nolan, we got to get you over to Content TV. So thank you so much for joining this stream. Very much appreciate it. On your way out, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button if you haven't hit the subscribe button yet. Hit the like button if you haven't hit the like button yet. Share us out, as it helps us out tremendously against the YouTube algorithm. Thank you so much for watching T3PO Live. Very much appreciate it. We'll see you on Sunday. I'll go back with Lou and you with your favorite Lou Westerman's Ghost. Take care, everybody. Thank you.